Every time James Taylor said anything, he had something to say about it. And it's just like, dude, I don't need your running commentary.
Those are the people I always end up with when I go to a wrestling match.
Yeah.
The loud, why are the chicks wrestling?
Yeah.
I want to see the guy. It's like, shut up, dude. I don't need your
running commentary.
Yeah, shut up. Let's watch the show, man. You are not the show. The show is on stage.
All right, let's get going, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome in. The big show's on the radio. This is ESPN Upstate. Hello, Upstate South Carolina. Great to be with you again. It's the Rob Brown Show. I am Rob Brown. Directly across from me on the other side of the glass, both metaphorically and literally, the great one, the pinnacle of professionalism, Colonel Grudge, the alpha and the omega of ESPN Upstate, the content cash cow, Lonzo, along for the ride today. What's up, big dog?
Let me tell you about real world problems. Here's a real world problem when you try to adjust your dial and you turn it just a little bit too far to the right, and then Rob Brown comes on the air and you realize that's a little too much gain in your headphones.
Lonzo grimaced.
Yes, I did.
Visually when I started talking. And don't get me wrong, most people grimace when they hear me talking for a very different reason.
It was like a dagger.
A dagger. I am Rob. He is Zoe. We are glad to have you along for the ride. Hope you are doing exceptionally well out there across radio land. No matter where you are, what you got going on, we are glad to have you along for the ride. A lot of stuff to get to on the broadcast today, a lot of stuff to talk about, and we want you to be a part of it. 844-GSP-ESPN, 844-477-3776. Text us on the Ingles Market text line at 71307, 71307. Start your text with ESPN so we can read it on the air. Tweet us at The Rob Brown Show. Tweet us at ESPN Upstate. Tweet us at Lonzo on a word, LONZOONWORD. Man, what a show we got lined up for you today. If for only one other reason, ladies and gentlemen, the moment of 2021 that you have all been waiting for, you have patiently been hanging on for this moment in time. I know for a fact that most of you have had your plans set for this evening for months and months and months. Lonzo perhaps going to be first in line for what may very well be the most exciting moment of this season, and he just figured out what I'm talking about, didn't you? Ladies and gentlemen, this evening marks the premiere of Tiger King 2, ladies and gentlemen. That's right.
Okay. No.
Ladies and gentlemen, Tiger King 2 drops today on Netflix. As if you didn't know already. If you don't know, now you know, playa. Joe Exotic and Carol Baskins are back in Tiger King 2, which means that at some point in the very near future, we will have guest star Diesel on as Lonzo refuses to watch Tiger King. So we'll have Diesel join us at some point to break down
all right,
all of the chaos.
Here's going to be the difference in this. Back when roles were reversed and I would be on this show to discuss wrestling with you, Diesel would fall asleep.
Yep.
I will not fall asleep during this segment. I will participate. You may not want me to.
Are you going to watch it?
Oh, no.
Then
no.
How are you going to participate?
You don't have to watch something to talk about how stupid it is. I mean, come on.
No. I don't want the participation of you just dumping on our love of Tiger King for 15 minutes.
I would say that there are people out there who would absolutely love for me to dump on your love of Tiger King.
Tiger King 2, ladies and gentlemen, drops today on Netflix. Yes, I will be getting it started this weekend. You better believe it. All right. A lot of stuff to get to, a lot of stuff to talk about on the show today. No better way to, what is Darth Gator?
All right.
Texter says, hey, Robin Zoe, I have found the future Mrs. Brown if she survives Darth Gator.
Look it up. That's all I'm saying. The picture will describe it better than what I could. And it might be a former neighbor of yours. I don't know.
The owner and trainer of Darth Gator say they don't want any consequences for the alligator that clamped down on his trainer's hand over the weekend in a wild incident caught on video at Scales and Tails, Utah.
She was hugging the gator and the gator peed and walked. What I said is, you don't want any part of that lady when she scares a gator so bad that the gator pees.
An 11-year-old, 8.5-foot long alligator that clamped down on the hand. Can I just say, there absolutely should be no consequences for an alligator when an alligator does alligator things.
See,
because that's an alligator thing.
I'm guessing you've had experience with, gators being where you're from. Maybe not. I mean, it might be a false, thought of everyone
in Louisiana where we were sitting in the parking lot of a hotel, like a Holiday Inn, and there was like a gazebo, like an outside little kind of picnic area.
I know what a gazebo is.
Yeah. Well, so, you know what? Pardon me for trying to be helpful. So we're in a gazebo. There's like 6 or 7 people in my family that play guitar. And so every year when we do our family reunion, the second day after we do dinner, those of us that play guitar will bring all our guitars outside and we'll just kind of hang out and play music together. And one year we were doing it in Louisiana. I cannot remember the name of the city, but I hear the guitars stop dropping out one by one mid-song, which is weird. And my Uncle Mike goes, I'll be damned. And I turn around and there's like a 4-foot alligator, 3.5-4-foot alligator that has just walked into the gazebo and it's just laid out at the entrance to the gazebo.
So the gator was enjoying the tunes.
I guess so. Gator's big fan of Creedence Clearwater Revival, I guess.
Well, you have to be in Louisiana.
True
right?
story. True story. So the gator is just sitting there and we're like, all right. And the gazebo's open. So it's not like we're trapped in or all my family's like, what are we going to do? I'm like, I mean, it's just hanging out. Leave him be. So a few minutes later, the gator took 3 or 4 steps into the gazebo. And at this point, I'm like, all right, well, we do have small kids out here, etc. So me and one of my cousins walked around the outside of the gazebo, grabbed the gator by the tail, and just dragged him back out 4 or 5 feet.
Wait. So you just went and just grabbed the gator. You just
grabbed him by the tail.
You just did that.
Yeah, the tail's 4 feet from the mouth. I got time to get out. They can't go backwards. They got to spin all the way around. You got time.
Okay, so this is just a normal thing for just. So
what else are you gonna do?
Leave. It's a gator.
No, it's a gazebo. It's my gazebo. He's not pushing me out. Yeah, you walked around the back. You grabbed the very end of the tail of the gator, and he just dragged straight backwards.
At what age did you learn how to wrangle gators?
Well, I never learned how to wrangle gator. I'm just assuming that I'm from Louisiana, and this is just something that's instinct.
All right, so.
But yes, I grabbed the gator by the tail, dragged him 4 or 5 feet outside of the gazebo. I got a picture of him in here in the phone somewhere. Dragged him backwards and
see that implies there's doubt there. I don't doubt for a second you did this. I don't see myself doing that.
There he is, right there.
Well, that doesn't. I mean, that thing could be 6 inches.
Yeah, I mean,
long.
there's no scale there, but that's
no way
the
to put
alligator.
it. Yeah. Okay. It looks dead. What'd you do?
Do anything? I dragged his ass out of the gazebo.
Okay, because he's laying in a prone position, like he's no longer.
So in Southeast Louisiana, that the city is really just like a bunch of dirt they piled in the middle of the swamp. So like there's gators, and he's not part of my family. He can't be up in my family reunion. So we dragged him out. What else are you gonna do with him?
I don't know. I until I'm out playing in a gazebo, which I played in gazebos before, so it could happen. I don't know what I'd do if a gator came in there.
Grab him by the tail, drag him backwards. He can't do nothing. As long as you stay behind him.
By the way, I would just...
It's when you put your hand in the alligator's mouth that you can't expect him not to do alligator things.
On behalf of the rest of the staff and management of the ESPN Upstate, we do not condone or suggest that you go out.
Correct.
I would we suggest, and yes, I do speak for everybody, that you find safety.
Texter says Rob Brown never been in a fight, but has wrestled an alligator. It wasn't a wrestle. I just dragged him.
You put the alligator in a hold, didn't you?
I guess technically.
Okay.
I held him by the. We should do that thing we do to start the show now. He said optimistically. I know.
Lunch.
Hey, there it is.
This is a very nutritious lunch. All the
I knew we
food
could do
groups
it.
are represented.
Whatever. I looked at the screen where it's supposed to be, and there was hesitation. I apologize, and I'm still shocked by the gator thing.
I believed in you the whole time, buddy. I really did. The Rob Brown Show. It is time for the lunch breakdown. The 3 things you have to know before you go start talking sports with your friends, family, coworker, or the dog, whoever you spend your lunch break with. This will be the scuttlebutt around the lunch table today. We start with item number 1. The United States men's national football team found a way to knock off their vaunted, whatever the word is, rivals in Mexico, El Tri, last Friday. Then last night, they went down to Jamaica to take on a team that on paper has no business competing with the United States. And what did they do? Settled for a very frustrating 1-1 draw away in Kingston, Jamaica. Timothy Weah tiptoed through the Jamaican defense to open the scoring for the U.S. on a really impressive shot from a very tight angle after an impressive unassisted run into the penalty area. But before the 25-minute mark, Jamaica struck back. Arguably the best player on the team, West Ham United striker Michael Antonio, smashed a shot from well outside the box that left Zach Steffen no chance to make the save. Greg Berhalter made the minimum number of changes for the match. Chris Richards and Gianluca Busio replaced defender Miles Robinson, suspended for a red card, and midfielder Weston McKennie suspended for back-to-back yellows. Berhalter said, quote, anytime you can get a point away from home is a good thing in CONCACAF qualifying. For the guys to have their heads down because we wanted more is completely natural. Christian Pulisic was dressed to enter as a sub as he did Friday against Mexico, but did not. The crowd at Independence Park, Jamaica's national stadium, a capacity of 35,000, was limited to less than 5,000 due to COVID mandates, and the atmosphere was still good, but it was not as hostile as it normally should be. Jamaica did not have a threat until they did, and on the first one, the rising 30-yarder went past the outstretched arms of Zach Steffen for the good enough minute. Pulisic came in on the 66th minute as the U.S. chased the winner, but neither team could find the back of the net. Again, Berhalter and company were forced to settle for a point that now drops them from first to second place in the qualifying table after Canada beat Mexico on Tuesday in a game, by the way, that registered at 14 degrees. 14 degrees. Shocking that Mexico lost to Canada in a temperature of 14 degrees. Jamaica did have a second goal, an 84th minute header by Damian Lowe, but he was called for fouling Walker Zimmerman, and the goal was disallowed. And frankly, after watching it, I'm a little shocked. I'm a little shocked that goal was disallowed. I am stunned the Americans didn't walk out of there with 0 points. Honestly, they probably should have given the full 3 to Jamaica, but they get saved by the whistle, and the Americans fall behind Canada in the CONCACAF qualifying. Remember, the goal is to be top 3. The top 3 teams will qualify automatically for the World Cup next year. The team that ends in 4th place will go to an intercontinental playoff situation where they will have to win in order to get in. This game was frustrating, yet fortunate, Greg Berhalter said, to walk out of there with a point. I have got some things to say about that, ladies and gentlemen, and I will get to those later on in the show. Item number 2 on the lunch breakdown. Yesterday, Dabo Swinney sat down for his radio broadcast and said during it that, quote, "You don't have a choice. That is the world we have created." What is he talking about? Well, he said that he will now begin recruiting in the transfer portal. Swinney has expressed resistance to using the transfer portal in the past, preferring to address his team needs specifically through traditional recruiting, but said that he realizes that the portal is changing the way that many teams will be beat. Of course, the transfer portal came into play in 2018, allows players to transfer to another school without incurring the previous penalty of having to sit out for a year before becoming eligible. Swinney said, quote, "There is not a school in the country who won't recruit the portal. Everybody in D1 football will have to deal with the portal in some form because you're going to have caps in your rosters somewhere. They, his players, have until May 1st to say, I'm out. I don't like it, but that's the world we're in now. The next thing you know, we're going to have mid-year enrollees leave because they're third team or because somebody yelled at them in mat drills. There are no barriers anymore in college football. There are no barriers anymore in college football. It's just ready, shoot, aim. I've never ruled it out. I've just said we haven't had to use it. We've been at our number. It's not been a need for us. We've known guys who were leaving, and we addressed it on the front end in recruiting," end quote. So Dabo, who has been, I'm not going to say adamantly against the transfer portal, but has certainly expressed his displeasure with it, now says that Clemson will recruit via the transfer portal. And Lonzo, this is my surprise face.
Yeah, I've seen that before.
Thought so.
When I walk into the room unexpectedly. I'm not surprised that he's doing this because of how many players has he lost this year from the transfer portal?
4?
Yeah, he's starting to lose guys. He's starting to lose that it's family here, people don't leave thing, which was apparently true for a while. But now, as he said, and this was always my fear with the transfer portal, is that someone gets upset because a coach looks at them the wrong way or they got taken out of play and boom, they're gone. And it hurts college football. It absolutely does. And I know you disagree with me, but it does. From a couple standpoints, from a loyalty standpoint and from a quality standpoint. Because if you're a coach and you have to worry about it, you really, really have to vet these kids to a degree where you need to talk and find out, did they get in a fight in the 4th grade with someone? What is their emotional maturity? If I do this the wrong way, are they going to get up and leave? It's got to be hard to coach in the era of the transfer portal.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think that is and we're going to talk later on the show about this because we're going to address this further. I think there's a lot of people that are uncomfortable with the fact that players now have control over their own destiny, right? Used to be, if I recruit you to this school, once you're there, you're mine. You're mine, and I can do whatever I want because you can't go anywhere, at least without costing yourself a year of eligibility. And now players can say, I got control over my own life too.
Let me do like old man here. In the real world, when you're jumping jobs every few months, you can't get a job no more. And it's the same exact thing we were talking about yesterday about Shane Beamer. If he were to jump from this job to that job that quickly, it looks bad on him. It looks bad on the kid too when they're jumping from school to school. And there are some kids who jump from school to school because now they can do that. And it's just it hurts college football.
How dare they want to find a spot?
Yeah, you can keep saying that.
Awful of them.
You can keep saying that, but it does make the state of college football go down. But it's a business now, and these are business people. And when they decide that they get a little butthurt and it's time to go somewhere else, then they can do that, and then the coaches have to pick up the pieces. And will this be the end of some of the juggernauts of football? We're already seeing Clemson going down. This is not the reason why.
How awful that maybe we have some parity in college football.
Do we
how
really?
Terrible.
Do we?
They're in the playoff every year. They're the only ones who don't want parity. We're coming back to that later on in the show because item number 3, and we're going to discuss this coming up. Texter says, it's so cool that Happy Gilmore is filling in for Rob Brown today. With just 2 weeks left in the regular season, our college football playoff rankings have dropped. No surprise, Georgia at number 1. Alabama stays put at number 2. Oregon is now number 3. And the Buckeyes of Ohio State are now at number 4 at 9-1. Cincinnati stays put at number 5. Michigan stays one spot ahead of Michigan State at 6-7. Notre Dame at number 8. And I think you can draw the line right there, Lonzo. I think your top 4 are coming from the top 7. All right. Of the top 7 teams, your top 4 are coming from there. I think that Cincinnati would get in if there are enough losses amongst the top 4. I think that Michigan and Michigan State would both jump Cincinnati if the situation was to arise. I don't think the committee would put Notre Dame ahead of Cincinnati because of the heads-up win. But remember, Michigan State did beat Michigan and yet are behind them in the rankings a week and a half after their game. So I can say Notre Dame wouldn't jump Cincinnati because of the heads-up, but clearly based on the rankings literally right in front of them, I might be wrong.
Well, I think the biggest question is what happens if Alabama beats Georgia? If Georgia beats Alabama, Alabama should be out of there. That leaves a slot. Absolutely leaves a slot. If Ohio State wins out, they will have beaten 2 ranked teams at the end of the season and whoever they're playing for the Big Ten championship. Ain't no way Cincinnati gets in there, man. There's just no way. Some strength of competition, no way.
We are going to talk about that when we come back here in just a minute. Segue! When we come back, we talk about the playoff rankings. We start looking down the future, what could happen. We'll look at the schedule of the top 7 teams and number 8 Notre Dame to see if they can fit in somehow. That's coming up next on the Rob Brown Show. This is ESPN Upstate. And we're back. Let's see. This comes from a generation that has never had no consequences and repercussions of transfer portal. None of them from get out of commitment, like Lonzo said. Absolutely, George. Thanks for joining us again. I think the concept of loyalty, though, right? Like you earn loyalty, right? I'm just not loyal to someone because, for instance,
I'm loyal. If you hire me, I'm going to be loyal to you
to a degree, right?
Yeah.
Okay, here you go.
Well, listen, I get there.
So
And
if another station calls you tomorrow and offers you $500,000 a year to come be their producer,
first of all, I'm not good enough for that job.
Okay, Lonzo, if somebody offered you $500,000 tomorrow for whatever reason they elected to do it, you're telling me you're not taking that job?
Would I have to leave South Carolina?
No, let's say it's in Anderson.
It's in
$500,000 a year.
If it's in Anderson, but
$500,000. Okay, $1 million a year.
Yes.
The point is there is a number on a paycheck that you're gonna go, I love you guys, but I'm out, right? And part
me that much, it's some kind of scheme. But
you're finding a lot of ways around a hypothetical that proves my point, is what I'm saying here. Loyalty is earned. It's not just, and I think that's the thing is there used to be a belief that loyalty was expected. Like like I've hired you, therefore you must be loyal to me. And I don't think that's the case. I think a business relationship, like any other relationship, is it's a two-way street. It's not a one-way street. Loyalty implies it's a one-way street. You're telling me that your boss wouldn't just can you in a second if he could find a job, if he could find somebody to come in and do Lonzo's job for $15,000 a year, you'd be gone in a second.
You don't know how much I make.
The Rob Brown Show's back on your radio, ESPN Upstate. So we're going to get into the college football playoff rankings, but friend of the show, George, just checked in. And he left a message on the Facebook stream at facebook.com/ESPN Upstate, youtube.com/The Rob Brown Show, or just search The Rob Brown Show YouTube, or go to twitter.com/The Rob Brown Show /Lonzo and Ward or /ESPN Upstate. And do keep in mind, because I was told the other day by somebody that they have been leaving comments on the streams, and those comments have not been coming through for me to put up on the air. You have to be watching one of the direct sources for your comments to show up on our streaming platform. So I would suggest, if you haven't, go to facebook.com/ESPN Upstate or twitter.com/The Rob Brown Show and interact with those streams, because that's how you get your comments up on my stream to where I can put them up on the air.
By the way, and I've noticed this problem with mine too. If like I just looked at the all button on StreamYard and your Twitter name is not highlighted, which means if they're commenting on your Twitter, it's not showing up.
Yeah.
And I have the same problem over on WRD on my personal. If they put it on there, it doesn't show up. So like Rob said, go to one of the stations accounts and comment there.
Facebook.com/ESPN Upstate is the easiest way to do it. The other solution is to text us on the Ingles Market text line at 71307. Start your text with ESPN so we can read them on the air. Friend of the show, George Baker, tunes in. And George said, this comes from a generation that has never had consequences and repercussions. The transfer portal is just another means for them to get out of another commitment. Like Lonzo said, no loyalty. That's a big part of football. And I get where that attitude comes from. But I think we've kind of entered an era of, and man, I'm going to sound like such a pretentious douche when I say this, but it is what it is. Loyalty is a two-way street nowadays. I think in generations gone, loyalty was kind of a one-way thing, right? Like once you signed that scholarship, you were loyal to the program. And loyalty is a two-way street. Loyalty and respect are two things that are earned, right? I'll give you another example when it goes to respect, and this is a similar situation to me. You've heard the term forever respect your elders, right? Like you must respect them. They're your elder. And the next generation doesn't just say, I respect you because you're old. I respect you because you deserve respect. And when you show me that you no longer deserve respect, that I will not respect you anymore. I'm not just going to respect you because you've been alive longer than
Well,
me.
how do you learn respect unless someone tells you you should respect this and then you start respecting it, including elders? If you're taught to respect your elders, then you respect your elders. Later on, you may find out, okay, yes, I respect my elders except for this guy because
Sure.
he's a jerk.
Look.
But you have to be taught. I don't think respect necessarily happens naturally when you're a little kid. You get taught to respect your dad.
There are a lot of people who learn later in life, and it's a sad fact, but a real one. There are people who learn later in life. Some dads ain't worth respecting, right? Some dad, just because you had a kid, just because you've been alive a long time, doesn't mean you're worthy of respect.
There are different kinds of respect. You may respect so you don't get that backhand or worse.
Sure, absolutely. But that's not respect. That's fear. There's a big difference, right? You can fear somebody without respecting them, and you can respect somebody without fearing them. You can respect someone and fear them, and you can neither respect nor fear someone, right? So loyalty is a two-way street. Yes, I am going to sign on for you. And I gave Lonzo the hypothetical, which I'm not going to do it on the air because he's phenomenal at coming up with discrepancies to get out of me proving my point.
It's called being a classic overthinker.
Yes. So, for instance, I am very loyal to the people. I am loyal to a fault to ESPN Upstate. All right. Because I like and respect the people I work for. I like the situation I work in. I like the place I work in. The loyalty I give to ESPN Upstate in working my tail off for this place is because of what they give me in return for it. Right? I wouldn't show up and do this job if they hired me for $5 an hour and no benefits. That's not earned loyalty. But they've earned my loyalty by being an incredible place to work. If I am a student going to school and playing football, yeah, you're going to argue correctly that, well, the school is giving you back a scholarship and classes and food and a place to stay and all that. And that's great. Those are great benefits. But that doesn't make a person respected. And if I'm a college football student, college football player / student, and I feel I am being disrespected by the university, and now I will say, being respected, feeling respected is absolutely subjective. It's absolutely up to the individual person as to what constitutes a disrespect, which is one of the reasons that we see people on the internet. Oh, he disrespected me. No, he didn't, dude. He just said you just said your clothes don't match or whatever.
Well, the hardest thing to do, and some of it comes with maturity, not with age, because maturity has nothing to do with age. I've met some 12-year-olds that are more mature than some 30-year-olds I know.
Sure.
It has to do with being able to look at both sides, being able to look at both perspectives, and most people don't do that. Look at if your boss is coming down on you a certain way and you feel like you're being disrespected by your boss, put yourself in his shoes and look at you from his eyes. And if you still see it, then you're probably right. But if not, and you really think it out, a lot of times it might be your fault.
So
no, that wasn't me apologizing to my boss, because as far as I know, I'm not.
Being respected is subjective. But if a kid feels disrespected by you just doing football things, right? Like Dabo said, a kid who gets yelled at in mat drills. If you got a kid on your team, and I guess this is the angle that I approach anti-transfer portal from, and for anti-transfer portal folks like Dabo. Dabo says, oh, it just means that if a kid gets yelled at during mat drills, then he wants to leave. Lonzo, if I made you football coach and you had a kid that you yelled at for messing up mat drills and he decided that was disrespectful and he wants to go, don't you want him gone anyway? Don't you want to give
No, I don't. Because as a coach and hopefully a leader of young men, I want him to learn that that's not how he should think about things, that he should stick it out and work through it. And
except for my $7 million a year paycheck depends on my football team being good. And I absolutely agree that college football coaches have some level of responsibility to help grow and develop these young men, because they are young men.
And especially in a lot of cases, there are a lot of kids who come from broken homes that
Absolutely.
are there, and they're looking to that coach whichever one in particular, as a father figure in some ways, or as an authority figure, and it's their job to teach them to work through it. Now, it's not always going to work, but hopefully sometimes it does. Hopefully sometimes they're able to persuade them, hey, this is not the route you need to go. Stay here, stick it out. You got a shot here. We saw something in you. Work through it.
Absolutely agreed. You're spot on, absolutely correct. Except for my $7 million paycheck depends on my football team being as good as it can be. And if you can't get through mat drills, you ain't ready for Saturday's, champ. And if you ain't ready for Saturday, you hurt me and my family and my bottom line as a head football coach. So I want you gone. Now, do I want to teach kids that come into my program, stick it out, work, et cetera, et cetera? Sure. But here's the thing. If a kid comes to my program because I recruited him to play and he finds out 2 years in, oops, sorry, we just recruited this 5-star at your exact same position who is going to start as a true freshman, and so therefore you're never going to see the field on Saturdays, I got no issue if that kid goes, I'm going to go somewhere I can play. I'm going to go somewhere I got a chance. Because either I got to do it to put tape down for the league, or if I'm never going to be an NFL player, I only get 4 years of college football, then I'm done. I never get to come back to this game. So I want to be somewhere I can play. And if that's the fact, like, I don't think a kid needs to stick around and be a bench rider who will never see the field, because that's just what you do. Screw that. I came here to play football, not to be a practice dummy.
See, and I'm interested in in what generation did your thought process leave my thought process? So I'd be curious as to what Mark thinks about that, because he's in between our age.
Yeah.
I'm guessing Diesel would think exactly the same way you do because he's your age. And I'm curious, at what point did my point of view?
It's a fine question to ask, but it's certainly as somebody who is mildly interested in sociology, I'd be interested to hear an answer, but at the same time, it's irrelevant to the discussion.
And by the way, I'm not doing back in my day, because you know what? Some things back in my day really sucked.
Yeah, you guys used to have to ride horses.
You know, I'm not quite old enough. Horses look at me and say, nope.
So I guess the point that I'm making here is, if a kid don't want to be there, go find somebody who does, right? Go find somebody who does.
Yeah, but at what point where you have to keep finding someone who does it start hurting your team?
I don't know. But again, if you're telling me that there is a point where getting rid of kids who don't want to be there for whatever subjective reason they've decided in order to bring in kids who do, I don't see how that's a detriment.
Is this the way it is and always will be, or will there come a time where contracts, because that's what these scholarships are?
Yeah, so we already have those.
When if you sign the contract, you have to stay there for X amount of years.
It may be a very expensive way out, but there's no contract in the world.
There's a non-compete. You throw the non-compete in there,
sure.
Especially at that level. If you can't go to another school and that's essentially what was there.
I already expect that sometime in the next handful of years, we're going to have a minor league non-college football system for kids who want to play football but don't want to go through college. I don't think it's a good idea.
Well, that was kind of what the Arena League was.
Absolutely. And it's what we're bringing back, what the USFL's coming back, the XFL's coming back. You're going to get some of those guys in there, because I expect one of those two leagues will not have a minimum age requirement. It's going to be, if you're good enough to play football in this league, you're going to play. But again, circle back around to why is it that because back in the day you had to stick around for this amount of time because that's just what we did? Cool. Awesome that that's what you decided was best for you. But it's not best for me, and it's not best for us. You've got to a point where the people that are playing football, and I use the word people very intentionally here, the people, the human beings that are playing football are going, you guys are getting everything out of this deal. We want some of the power here. And if you're not going to give it to us, we'll figure something else out. And it's clearly working.
I'm laughing because suddenly I'm getting equestrian Stuff show.
All right,
That's weird.
Let's do this. When we come back here in just a minute, we've got a couple more thoughts that have come in on the transfer portal discussion. Dabo Swinney says that Clemson will start recruiting the transfer portal now. They have not yet done so, but says they will. They're just going to do it tactically as opposed to in mass. We'll break that down, that further down when we come back on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate. That
was beautiful.
Keegan, I'm getting your comment when we come back. Getting your comment when we come back.
Spectrum Mobile is reinventing wireless again. Get unlimited on 2+ lines for $29.99 a month per line. No contracts, no added taxes or fees. Includes nationwide 5G. Save up to 60% with Spectrum Mobile.
If you see me over here doing this, I lost something, and I'm trying
I see that now.
I'm trying to make sure, and I
that now.
don't see it anywhere. So
That's
because it's gross. No, it is gross. At least I care that, you know. I'm not going to gross you out, but I taste blood. That's all I'm saying. I can't. I'll have time. It's a good thing that it's gone. It's just, yeah.
So whatever challenge you face, we have the knowledge and products to help. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
You're always up for some fun with the family, so you order the essentials: a new board game, some baking supplies, and even a new projector.
By the way, I had reports that police are out in mass on 385, and they are.
Are they?
Yes.
I saw 3 on the way home, just from this exit to the Pleasantburg exit. I saw 3 yesterday.
I didn't yesterday. This morning I did that.
Yeah. It's looking like that might be a rest of the month thing.
That's fine.
You do know that's not normal, right?
Grainger offers supplies and solutions for every industry. Experienced staff at local branches and free access to experts to help answer your toughest questions. So whatever challenge you face, we have the knowledge and products to help.
You have Upstate Lights copy.
In my email. When does it come up?
Next break.
I'll go get it.
When you gonna go get it?
On my phone.
Oh, okay. So that was, not physically. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
I meant to tell you earlier. I'm sorry.
Sports talk show in the state, according to the South Carolina Broadcasters Association. The Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show rolls on at ESPN Upstate. The conversation about the transfer portal rolls on. Texture said, obviously, Rob and Lonzo are using this as an opportunity to kiss the upper management's rear end. I don't need to. I don't need to. Do you know what having respect and deciding that they have earned loyalty looks like? I don't have to kiss the boss's butt. Lonzo and I bring them trophies, sponsors, and ratings. We are just fine.
And by the way, I've been here 21 years. That's all I need to say.
Another texter says, when you tell kids, and I'm paraphrasing the first half, we talked about the fact that respect is earned, not given to the new generation, right? Like, used to be you just give respect. And I think it's important to teach kids on the football field, and I'm going to try to keep this as sports oriented as I can. I think it is important that you teach kids from a young age that you show respect on the field. You show respect to your opponents. You show respect to your coaches. You show respect to the officials. You show respect to the fans, and that's all well and good. But you also make sure that they know that once someone shows that that the respect is not deserved, you're not obligated to show it anymore. Texter says, so they begin from a point of disrespect as a default. No, I think it's important that you teach kids respect, but you also make sure that they know that after you have taught them the lesson, that it doesn't mean you just do that for everybody. You make sure that they know that respect is something that has to be earned. If I teach Lonzo how to make a killer steak, it doesn't mean he has to make steak every single night for the rest of his life. It's a bad analogy, but it works.
Yeah, because that analogy would imply that I don't know how to make a killer steak already.
You were just going to destroy every
No,
time
no,
out of
no,
first inning,
no,
aren't
no.
you?
That
Just
one
every one of
that
them.
one just kind of offended me because I'm a decent cook. So
Texas says, look for the upset on Zoe's Buckeyes this weekend. I'm calling it now so Zoe can't try to put his Yankee voodoo magic on it. Hey, voodoo's a Southern thing, man. That's a Haitian Creole thing. We
that's
don't have voodoo in
something.
Ohio.
Not only does Rob know about Gators, but he knows about the
I know
voodoo.
something about the voodoo. Let's see. Oregon's going down on Saturday. Cincinnati going down on Saturday. Just my gut feeling. But I wanted to get to this comment from Keegan real quick because I think it's a good one. Keegan said on the Facebook stream at facebook.com/ESPN Upstate, my thought process is as followed with the transfer portal. It makes both sides work harder. You want the starting job? Work hard because someone could transfer in. You want to keep players? Work hard to coach them fairly. If you don't like your job, you're allowed to look elsewhere. Earn trust and respect, and it works out. Yes, it could be abused, but for the most part, it's beneficial. I think that's spot on. I think it's spot on. Now, see, it used to be that all the expectations were heaped on the players. I expect you to show up and work hard. I expect you to be coached well. I expect you to do this. I expect you to do that. And by the way, if you never see the field, it is what it is. Sucks to be you. But I still expect you to do all these things that we want out of an ideal football player. But if it never leads to you being on the field or getting to do anything, it sucks to be you. It's no good. But it's a little bit of those expectations. All the transfer portal does, and I think Keegan nailed it. All the transfer portal does is create some expectations for Dabo and Clemson, for Shane in South Carolina. That's every college football team. Dabo's just been the most outspoken about using it. It puts expectations now from the players onto the coach, onto the coaches, onto the administration, onto the school itself. It used to be that there were no expectations. You were expected to do all the things as a football player, and you didn't have any expectations other than my scholarship, right? But now there are expectations. I expect you to coach me up to give me the best chance. I expect you to give me an opportunity at playing time. I expect to be treated fairly and with respect, et cetera, et cetera. And some coaches don't like that there are now more expectations on them than there already are in what I admit is a very difficult job to perform.
Now, see, if I were a coach at a college, what I would do is I'd find out some department or task a assistant coach with this. I'm curious, and I'm very curious about this. What is the percentage of successful transfer portal players as far as going somewhere else and getting the playing time they thought they deserved, and them ending up in the NFL? I mean, there's some obvious players like people who went from Alabama to Oklahoma.
A significant amount of times.
I see. I think you're speculating, and so am I. And I wonder if there's not a study out there, you and I need to get a grant because they'll give it.
For Alabama is a transfer. Eric Gray, the running back who's having a good year for Oklahoma, is a transfer. Eric Gilbert is a wide receiver playing for Georgia, transferred over from LSU. Wan'Dale Robinson is a wide receiver at Kentucky who transferred from Nebraska. Mike Jones, the running back who had a decent year at LSU, or who's going to have a decent year for LSU, transferred out of Clemson. Darian Kendrick, the cornerback at Georgia. Hell, I could just go with Clemson guys who transferred out, and there's 3 right there that have gone elsewhere and contributed. So it works out a significant amount of time.
But I mean, you're pointing out the success stories, but not the failures,
right?
And because the success stories are all.
But I could say the same thing about general recruiting.
The success story.
Recruiting too. How many 4-stars do we know of that have showed up and been nothing? It's literally no different. Let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll wrap up hour number 1. Your phone calls are welcome at 844-GSP-ESPN. Text us on the Ingles Market text line at 71307. Quick break back after this on the Rob Brown Show. It's ESPN Upstate. The 2021 Holiday Light Show is starting up on Thanksgiving 2021, and it is going to be bigger and better than ever before. Got the opportunity last year to check out the Holiday Light Show, and it's dude, it's just cool, man, right? Like, it's cool. They take the entire racetrack out there at Greenville Pickens Speedway. They turn it into a big interactive light show. It starts Thanksgiving night, runs all the way through the new year. There were over 32 million colorful lights to set the sky ablaze, synchronized to the music of your favorite holiday classics. You can take your time, park, enjoy watching the lights dance to the music from your car. They also have a drive-through petting zoo, a kid light show, and more, all centered around the 70-foot tall Christmas tree. And again, it's all drive-through. You don't even have to get out of your car. You can buy tickets now or buy the all-new Fast Pass to skip the line at upstatelights.com. Upstatelights.com. It's the 2021 Upstate Holiday Light Show.
Thursday, showers with a high of 72. Friday, sunny and cooler with a high of 57. I'm the meteorologist Ray Miller on ESPN Upstate. Right now, it's 55.
Sunday on Compass Media Network's coverage of the NFL. It's a marquee Week 11 cross-conference showdown as the Dallas Cowboys hit the road to take on the Kansas City Chiefs. Hi, this is Jerry Recco. Join Kevin Ray, Danny White, and myself for all the action as Dak Prescott and Patrick Mahomes duel it out. Can the Cowboys make a statement on the road, or will the Chiefs continue to take their stride? It's the Cowboys and the Chiefs. If it's the NFL, it's right here.
Sunday afternoon at 4. The NFL plays here on ESPN Upstate. Welcome to Moe's!
Nothing goes better with movie, game, or family night than a Moe's meal kit. Well, maybe a famous queso. But don't worry, it comes in every kit with your choice of premium proteins and fresh ingredients. Our nacho, taco, and fajita kits will silence even the pickiest of eaters. Plus, there's no dish to eat. Because when you've had a hard day, Moe's meal kits make it an easy night. Order through Moe's.com or the Moe's app.
We're all on this planet together. So join Odyssey and find your one.
Kobe, 1 for 1.
Make sure to buy one that was humanely and ethically raised. One of the best options is to buy a turkey.
With your wingspan and where you're sitting, that's basically a layup. I just want to point that out.
Dude, Shaq made a career out of scoring close to the bucket.
And no one really wanted to come in there on him either. There's
Yeah,
that.
but I got the table playing defense on me.
You're
Table's blocking off half the
using the
bucket.
table.
Correct. Just like Shaq used the glass.
Indeed can help them hire great people fast. I need Indeed. Indeed you do. Instant Match.
This looks set up, but I don't know.
What's that?
I'm sending that to you.
Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Just send it on Twitter.
With just one spray of Microban 24, your hard surfaces are sanitized for up to 24 hours. Touch after touch after touch.
So 6 hours from now?
Still sanitized.
12 hours?
Yep.
18 hours?
We're really doing this.
24 hours?
When used as
Oh, I've seen that. Is this the one where dude like
Yeah, yeah.
that dude in the dress shirt is a big boy?
It seems set up because of how he comes back. I mean, I don't know.
I mean, he's dude's.
It still looks like a hurt for sure.
I think dude was trying to end it. Dude was trying to be like, I'm done, which is a Ric Flair move. All right, wrapping up hour number 1 here on the radio broadcast, the Rob Brown Show, ESPN Upstate, 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg, and all around the world on the Odyssey app, AUDACY. Put it on your digital devices. So we'll finish up for now. We can bring it up later on in the show, the transfer portal discussion. Look, I think it, to me, comes down to a generational switch in mentality. I think that back in the day, the schools had all the respect. And I think one thing that a lot of, because I've seen this pop up a couple of times, I've seen people say things to the effect of, hey, you know, it used to be that kids wanted to play and represent their state. And here's the deal. Y'all made recruiting a nationwide thing, right? Like South Carolina kids don't pick between South Carolina and Clemson. They pick between Oregon and USC and Alabama and Washington and you know, Rutgers. They're picking from around the nation. If I was a Florida kid who grew up in Florida and had to pick to play for a Florida school, then yeah, the school I picked, I'd rep to play for my school in my state. But if I'm a Florida kid, a 4-star quarterback who's got an offer from Florida, Florida State, Miami, but also USC and Notre Dame and Ohio State, and I took a tour and decided that Notre Dame was right for me and I went to play for the Irish, I'm not an Indiana guy, right? I'm not here to rep Indiana. I'm here to play for me and the school that I decide to play for. And look, if I show up to Notre Dame and I go through my year or two where I'm learning the program and learning the system and I got 4 years, unless I'm NFL caliber, I got 4 years to play ball. And then they bring in another quarterback and go, hey, Rob, we told you we were going to play you, but we got this kid who's a phenom and he's going to play ahead of you. Right? If that happens and I realize I'm not going to get PT, what do you care if I go somewhere? Why does it bother you other than I don't like it? Well, too bad. I'm not going to make my life decisions based on what somebody else likes, and neither should you. No one should do that. If your job is not respecting you or not compensating you in a way that you decide is fair, you should move on with the realization that if you quit and move on and you have unrealistic expectations for compensation, nobody else might compensate you the way you want to be either. That's the risk of the portal. We'll talk more about it later on the show. Rob, Lonzo, you. John Hartz joins us at 1:30 to talk Triumph football on ESPN Upstate. Diddy is filling in for me on Friday.
I saw.
And is very excited about Fanboy Friday. So I was going to do it tomorrow, but I'll let you guys have it for Friday. Or we'll just do it both days.
Okay.
Coming up on Saturday, it's going to be senior day. However, according to head coach Dabo Sweeney, there's not going to be a single senior starting for them on Saturday, as wide receiver Justin Ross is going to miss Saturday's game with a foot injury. The plan is going to probably have surgery on
Rob Brown Show, what do you want to talk about?
screw inserted into his foot, which would in all likelihood in his ear. There is a chance that they could take a different course of action moving forward.
All right, what's your name?
So with surgery, that means in all likelihood,
All right, hang on, Kevin.
download the Score app today, lightning fast sports alerts, so you never miss a thing. It's why the Score app is one of North America's most popular sports apps. For ESPN Upstate Sports Center update, I'm Matt Wally.
Ducking desk and riding horses. Man, your childhood was rough.
Has been nothing short of impressive just in my short time here in the Upstate. I'm glad to be able to chat with you guys and be a part of it.
The new Matrix Resurrections poster is out.
Yeah.
First glance, Keanu looked a lot like Nick Cage. I just for some reason. It's like, hey, is that Nick Cage? No, never mind. It's the hair. When he's Neo, you're used to the hair being a lot shorter.
I'm going to accept that very sarcastic accolade as 100% true. Thank you. It's got to be true.
Miami from Westwood One with a preview of Thursday night football. Tony Baselli and I will have the call from Atlanta when the Falcons host the 6-4 Patriots. New England's on a 4-game winning streak and coming off a blowout victory over the Browns. Can Mac Jones and the Pats keep their resurgence on track against Matt Ryan and the Falcons? Join us to find out on Thursday night football. Tomorrow night at 8, the NFL plays here on ESPN Upstate.
Warning.
And check this out.
For an official Rob Brown lockdown.
Represents freedom win.
Unfiltered, manufactured Featured locally for the Carolinas. This is the Rob Brown Show.
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It's ESPN Upstate Hour. Número dos gets going now. I am Rob. He is Lonzo. Thanks for being a part of the program. I want to bring up a concept that I started talking about yesterday, and kind of rehash it just very briefly. And this is something that I've had to bring up to fans in the past. Some of y'all sensitive, man. Some of y'all as fans are sensitive. We talked yesterday about the fact that not every broadcaster who has a critique or criticism on your team is out to get you. I got a couple.
Some of them are, though.
Some are, sure. Some are. And I will acknowledge, because as much as I am a radio sports broadcaster, this may shock you, I'm also a fan of sports broadcasting. I'm a fan. I spend a chunk of my day away from the radio listening to other people do it. I got my 22-23 sports podcast I'm subscribed to. I got the Alexa in my house set up, subscribed to a handful of different stations around the country that I listen to at various points of the day. I'm a fan too, and I'm going to tell you, like I said, and this is one of the hardest things to do, if you feed the trolls get bigger, faster, stronger, better. All right? You don't believe me? Skip Bayless, Clay Travis, Stephen A. Smith. These guys are all trolls, and they're good at it. And when you feed the trolls, as people have done by watching First Take and Undisputed and all these other shows, when you feed the trolls, they get bigger and badder. But that does not mean that everybody that has a critique about your football program is a troll. I'm going to bring this up because of a reaction that I got yesterday. I said yesterday on the show, after the discussion about Shane Beamer potentially taking the call from and the job offer from Virginia Tech, if that call and or offer were made, I said it ain't going to happen. And even if they got him on the phone for a first impression, the number one reason that I gave that Shane Beamer will not be the head coach at Virginia Tech is, why would Virginia Tech want him? Why would they want him? What has Shane Beamer done that if you're Virginia Tech shows you he's going to be the guy that brings you back to the glory that Frank Beamer had this team living 2 decades ago when Mike Vick was there? They got almost a fistful of ACC titles since then. But what has Shane Beamer done to make you believe that Va-Tech would want to get him, right? That the Va-Tech would come calling to steal him away from you, if you want to call it that. And I got a tweet, and this one was not antagonistic. It was a response and a valid one. But I got a tweet from Joe B, JB_N_SC, if you want to follow him on Twitter. He said, quote, "You could have said the same thing about Beamer in South Carolina last year or Muschamp in South Carolina a few years ago. If Virginia Tech strikes out on their top couple of choices, they could go to Beamer as plan C because of his name." And I agree. And for the record, last year, when South Carolina was recruiting Shane Beamer, I literally said that. In fact, unless it's been replaced, I had a promo going for the show literally about that topic, where I said, and I'm going to paraphrase, but the promo, and you'll remember it if you've heard it, started with, "My job is not here to talk about the sunshine and the rainbows. My job here is to talk about the weather. And while normally, like today, it's a Chamber of Commerce day with blue skies, crisp weather, and sunshine in the upstate, sometimes it rains. And sometimes it's gross. And sometimes it floods. And sometimes there's, what do you call it when it's like ice and snow? Slurries. Sometimes there's slurries outside.
I have never, ever heard of slurries
Yeah,
before.
it's what's a slurry is
Sleet
when
and snow?
It's not quite snow. Slush. A slush. No, I think it's a slurry. It's like it's not quite snow,
You
but
almost
it's not
said
quite
something
rain.
else in there. That was interesting. No, I've never heard of a slurry. That sounds like a Florida term for something they've never really
A
experienced.
slurry is a mixture of solids denser than water, suspended in liquid, usually water.
So
and-
this is a but it's just what weathermen say.
Yes, it's a slurry. It's when it's like it's not quite snow, but it's in the crystallization process when it falls to the ground. It's not snow, but it's not rain. It's in the middle. It's a slurry.
I'm obviously not a smart man, but I am from the north where, I've seen many times of that mixture. And again, this is the first time I've ever heard of that.
So the premise here is most of the time things outside are sunny and beautiful, and we'll talk about sunny and beautiful. But sometimes it rains. Sometimes there's a slurry. Sometimes there's a hurricane or a tornado and everything's getting devastated, and you got to talk about those things. So I said last year during the offseason, why is this a guy for South Carolina? I get the emotional connection, right? I get the emotional connection. He's been there before. He knows the culture. He was there under Spurrier, so he's seen it done. He's got Frank Beamer as a dad, so he's got that as a resource. He's worked under a handful of other big-name D1 coaches, so he's been in the game in years previous, and he knows how successful coaches run a program. And that's all well and good. But what's my dude got on the resume outside of I know a dude that makes you think he's ready? I know a lot of guys that have produced for some very talented radio show hosts. And when they get their first opportunity to crack the mic, they are bad at it. So I made that criticism of South Carolina.
Why are you looking at me that way?
Not you. You host the segment every week. That's good.
I try really hard. Okay.
I'm trying my best, man. So anyway, I'm going to call your team out. But as I've said to you guys many times, it does not mean I'm attacking your team. It does not mean I want your team to fail. In fact, it's almost always obviously the opposite, even if it's for selfish reasons. So Joe said in that tweet that said, you could have said the same thing about Beamer, blah, blah, blah. And I said, yes. And I literally did say that about South Carolina and Shane Beamer, just like I'm saying it about Va-Tech, for a different reason. I was absolutely criticizing South Carolina for that hire. Now, Shane's won me over a little bit, but he's still got a lot to prove to me on the field over the next 2 years to make me think he's the dude. I will criticize Virginia Tech if they hire Shane Beamer. Because the only difference on his resume between then and now is he was an SEC coach for a season. That ain't it for me. That ain't enough. Dan Mullen's been an SEC coach for a lot of seasons. Anybody want him? Nope. The point that I'm making here is sometimes when folks in broadcasting say something about your squad, they're not attacking you. They're criticizing. They're making an observation. All right? I have a financial interest in South Carolina being good. If the Gamecocks are good, Rob Brown makes more money. He gets to go on more remotes. He gets to do more stuff. I got a vested interest in y'all being good. So when I criticize South Carolina, it's not because I dislike them, because I want to attack them, because I want to troll them. It's very simply because I think something's going wrong that needs to be done better if you guys are going to make it to the top and get me paid, sucker. So it's just that. Kevin is on the phone line to talk a little college football. Let's get Kevin in here real quick. Kev, welcome to the show, bud. Good to have you.
What's up, Rob?
How are you, pal?
Man, I'm all right, man. First time caller, long time listener, man.
Well,
I talk to your boy Mark a lot, but this is the third time I ever got on with you.
Well, I'm glad to have you, man. Thank you very much. It means a lot to me.
Hey man, I've been trying to figure this out. Me and some guys been having some talks. Like, but first thing, sport these sensitive people with the fan stuff. Like, cut it out. I know it's a sensitive world now, but good Lord, I mean, Dabo got them boys down there, so got them people so spoiled down there. They don't know what to do with themselves right now just because they're having a bad season. But you've had 5 or 6 straight good seasons, but now you want to cry because it ain't going your way. That's a whole lot of spoil. So deal with it, and he'll be back next year. Second thing is, down in Florida, you from Florida, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Florida State, and Miami. Is it that everybody is going to play other places and they can't get those dogs no more? Or what's really going on?
In terms of what? In terms of like why are people going to the portal?
Like I mean, it's just far as why is Florida and Miami have hit rock bottom almost, and they were good for so long?
Because the best players want to go play for the best schools, right? And it's kind of a catch-22, Kev, in that, you know, the best players want to play for the best schools, and the best schools want the best players, and it's a mutual relationship. So if your team sucks, looking at you, FSU, looking at you, Miami, and this year looking at you, Florida, if your team sucks, why would the 5-star, unless he is just a diehard fan, right? Like, and there are some players that they grew up a Florida State guy, and that's been their dream, is to play for FSU, and they're willing to go play for a 6-6 FSU team. But if you're getting offers from Ohio State and Notre Dame and Georgia and Alabama and all these teams that are playing for championships, and you decide that you rather go for that, then of course you're not going to go to FSU. And it makes the rebuilding process that much tougher, Kevin. But that is why we talk with glowing reviews about a Nick Saban who showed up and took over a 5-7 Alabama team, had a 7-6 year, and was playing for championships. That's why Clemson fans love Dabo, who took over a 6-6 Clemson team and had a year or two down, but then played for multiple national championships. It is a damn hard thing to do, Kevin, which is why we celebrate coaches that are able to do it, because they are rare.
I love it. Don't get me wrong now. Okay, matter of fact, Saturday when Missouri and South Carolina was playing, Missouri has a linebacker, somebody that was from Columbia, South Carolina. And I heard one of the announcers, like, how did we let him go? Hey, man, maybe he wanted to get away and go see other places other than South Carolina for 4 years. That's how I think about it sometimes.
No, I agree with you. I don't know why he would have picked Columbia, Missouri, but hey, everybody's got their own thing, man.
I'm really thinking that, man. So, but man, hey, man, I just wanted to holler at you for a second, man. I'm glad I finally got on with Rob, man. What up, DeLonzo, man? 2 big fellas in the house today, man. 6'5", 265 right here, man. I used to be 6'5", 335, but now I'm 6'5", 265.
I gotta tell you, I've never been in a room where I'm the point guard, Kevin. It's never happened before. Right. Never happened. Appreciate it, big dog. Thanks for jumping on. It's Kevin. Kevin's made me, between you and him, between Kevin and Zoe, Rob's running the point. That's terrifying.
You know, Kevin, you just made me smile. Thank you. Not that I needed it, but you know, I appreciate it.
Yeah. Look, to finish up what we were saying with here, I'll use Missouri just because I've got their roster open right now. Because I was going to see if I could hunt down who Kev's talking about there. Here's where the kids on Missouri's roster are from. You ready? Fayetteville, Arkansas, New Orleans, Louisiana, Orlando, Florida, West Dallas, Texas, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Columbia, Mizzou, St. Louis, Mizzou, Knoxville, Tennessee, Suffolk, Virginia, Dangerfield, Texas, Southfield, Michigan, East St. Louis, Illinois, Dayton, Ohio, Slidell, Louisiana, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Kings Mountain, North Carolina, Fayetteville, Arkansas, Detroit, Michigan, Indianapolis, Indiana, Mobile, Alabama, Chattanooga, Tennessee, Tampa, Florida, Spanish Fort, Alabama. Got a lot of guys from my neck of the woods. Columbia, South Carolina. That's Trajan Jeffcoat, a 6'4", 276-pound defensive lineman. Let's see. Philly, Ohio, Titusville, Florida. But do you see what I'm saying? Like, this isn't your grandpappy's college football where all the kids on Arkansas's roster are from Arkansas, and all the kids on Florida's roster are from Florida, and all the kids on South Carolina's roster are from South Carolina. It's a national game now. I just read you Arkansas's roster, and what'd we hit? 20 states? In the first 25 guys on the roster, we hit 20 different states? Kids aren't going to the school anymore because they love the school. Some are. But kids ain't going to the school because they love the school anymore. Kids are going to the school because it's the best school for them. They are looking out for themselves. And I will not, I will say, I won't ever say I will never. I'll always disagree. But I can't understand why somebody would say what a selfish move that is to look out for yourself. It's literally what the bedrock of this country is, right? Looking out for yourself while taking care of your community is the bedrock. So why is it, it's good when you look out for yourself, but it's bad when that 18-year-old kid looks out for himself? Yeah, disagree. Hard disagree. All right, we'll take a break. I got a text that just came in I want to address here in just a minute. We'll get to that. We'll keep the transfer discussion going on. Your phone lines are open at 864-448-3772. We're back after this. My name is Rob. Lonzo's at the helm, and you're listening to The Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate. and I left the mic off on the stream that whole segment. Just know that you maybe missed the best segment of all time. That's how good that last segment was. But maybe the best I've ever done. However, I am turning the sound back off to give Lonzo Coach Hark's number. So hang on, BRB. And we're back.
I apologize. I should have noticed that the mic was off and pointed that out to Rob. It's entirely my fault.
That's my job.
I'm going to keep doing this till Rob goes, you know what, Lonzo, you're right. It was your fault. Stop that.
Does it mean you can worry less and live a little more? Does it mean you're not alone, even when things get kind of hard? Actually, yes. Yes, it does. You're in good hands with Allstate. Allstate integrates other products and services to do better terms and conditions.
For the ones who get going when the going gets tough. And the ones who know we're tougher together. For the Pathfinders breaking new ground. Grainger offers supplies and solutions for every industry, as well as fast access to experts and 24/7 customer support. Because we know you have people depending on you, so you can always depend on us. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Oh, yes. Gingerbread latte season at the Shane's Coffee Shop. He'll need a seasonal barista before his cookie starts to crumble.
Anything else?
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Instant Match instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey, Coach, this is Lonzo, ESPN Upstate. I'm doing good. How are you? All right. All right. We got about a minute left in this break. Rob will be right with you. Hang on. There always seems to be a little bit of a delay on his phone.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's a brand of phone, too, because for some reason there are a couple brands that have a delay to them.
General and others to find you the company with the best rates. Give your family the security they need at a price you can afford. For your free quote, call 1-800-507-2266. That's 1-800-507-2266. Or go to selectquote.com. That's 1-800-507-2266.
Just realized Ghostbusters comes out tomorrow. I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, you were correct. Watch out, Rob. If we find someone who can push the button and say alarm, you're in trouble. Thanks, Steven. Love you guys too. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. It's ESPN Upstate on Wednesdays. We talk Greenville Triumph football, and the Triumph are on the road for the final game of the season. It is this Saturday. It is at 5:00. It is at Omaha, Nebraska. Union Omaha hosting the Greenville Triumph, and it is do or die. The winner brings home a trophy, the USL League One Championship. Greenville trying to repeat as your USL League One champions, and who better to bring on to break down that game than the guy who is going to be hanging on to the clipboard, metaphorically speaking anyway. I don't think he actually holds a clipboard on the sideline, though I could be wrong. The head coach of your reigning, defending, undisputed League One champion Greenville Triumph, Coach John Hartz, joins us here on the Rob Brown Show. Coach, welcome back, big fella. How we feeling?
Doing well, Rob. How are you, sir?
Doing well, buddy. Doing well. First and foremost, I got to tell you, I wanted to pull the curtain back for just a second, Coach. On Monday afternoon, or I guess Monday evening, there's a group of Triumph fans that go over to a pizza joint in downtown Greenville, and from somebody who has tried to throw himself into the sports community here in the area, I thought it was very cool that head coach of the Greenville Triumph, John Hart, shows up to this pizza joint. And not only does he say hey to the fan, but you knew every one of those supporters by name, by face, and made it a point to tell everybody hi. I have Hart on since I got here, Coach, the relationship between the local teams and the community. And I thought that was a fantastic illustration of it. So good on you, Coach.
Hey, man, I appreciate it. It's all about building relationships, Rob. I think that, we talk about being a community club and, we really mean it. We want to live that every day. That's part of our culture. So, we get to know all the fans because without them, we're basically representing nobody. So we've got a great core fan base. It was great to see everybody the other night. Yes, I love, get a great slice of pizza when I can get it. And it was good timing, man. Things work out for a reason, right? So it was great to see everybody there. And, I love the support that we've had throughout the year. And now we're even hearing, from Becca and from, Jonathan and from Andrew and, seeing you there and everything, that there's a lot of fans going out to Omaha. So that means a lot to us. When the players see that, they see those fans in the crowd, that means that there's a connection there and that they're pushing them on. So that energy level, that positivity, it just builds confidence within the group.
I have heard, Coach, that there are no fewer than 2 16-plus person conversion fans that are going to be driving over to Omaha. I believe most of them are leaving either tomorrow or Friday morning to drive over there to make the 16-plus hour road trip to Omaha for this matchup. And what a cool experience to not just have a fan base, Coach, but I know some professional teams, definitely not looking at the Carolina Panthers, that would kill to have a fan base that loads up multiple conversion vans for a 16-hour drive to watch a match. What's that mean to have that level of fandom behind you guys heading into this match on Saturday?
Yeah, it just shows you again, like what we're talking about, the commitment levels, the passion that they have, the way they want to drive it for us. And it's huge, man. I mean, we know that they're there, but there's a lot behind, what they say and do. I mean, they actually live it out. Their actions are huge. And how they've been fantastic. So we're excited. We're going to be excited to represent, the Greenville Triumph, our club, represent Greenville, represent the upstate, out in Omaha, and it's going to be a battle, and we're going to need those fans to be there. So yeah, we're really happy that they're traveling and making the effort. It's awesome.
Let's talk a little bit about the match itself, Coach. Obviously, Greenville and Omaha have had some fantastic showdowns the last couple of years, enough that there has been I wouldn't even say it's a quasi rivalry. I think a rivalry built up between the two clubs that have finished at 1-2 on the table the last 2 consecutive years. Emotionally, mentally, when you not only have this rivalry game, when you not only have a history with this team that goes back a couple of years with some incredible matches, but now you add the pressure of this being for the chip on top of that, how mentally and emotionally do you guys prepare to make sure that you treat this game like a Greenville Triumph match?
Well, I mean, it's, look, you got to make sure that you break it down into its simplest form, and manage the emotions. And that's huge, with players, when they can actually, get to a point where, they feel confident about what we're doing. There's a strategic plan. If you're prepared, then guys are relaxed. They know how to go in there and bring it on the night. They've got to be able to compete. We've got 1 game left, and it's a big one. So, keeping the emotions intact and making sure that we're even keeled, about everything building up to that is going to be really huge. And so that's just open communication every single day, making sure that everybody understands like what our tactical plan is. From a coaching standpoint, we have to make sure that we manage the chronic workloads that are there. And look, at the end of the day, we got to be able to come out of the gate on Saturday and be fired up, but also have a measured approach. Make sure that we're understanding that this is a talented group in Omaha that we're up against. And right now, we've seen even in this season, as we've gotten back to a 28 game plus season, it's different. Preparing for that, it's a lot longer. Last year was 16 games, and we were number one all season long last year. So it's been a lot of ups and downs, a lot of adversity, dealing with a lot of injuries. We want to make sure everybody's in the right frame of mind as we go into this game Saturday. So a lot of prep work, but also understanding that sometimes less is more, and being able to trust the process. It's huge, so we got to get it right. And we're preparing the guys. They seem to be in a really good frame of mind right now. And we're going to be ready to go on Saturday.
We're talking to John Harkes, head coach of year reigning defending undisputed USL League One champion Greenville Triumph, as they head to Union Omaha for the championship match on Saturday. Coach, what can you tell us about the fitness of this team? I know it seems like we've had to ask that almost every week, but of course you guys have had to deal with the rash of injuries more predominantly in the mid-season, but a lot of guys still trying to get back to fitness. How does the team health-wise look heading into Saturday?
Yeah, it's a good question, Rob. Lachlan McLean, we had to sub him in the semifinal against Chattanooga in that first half. He took a really bad hit, to the back of his leg, which actually affected his nerve. And so he had to come off in the first half. Normally you don't make a substitution in the first half of any game. But he's coming back. He's training. He's playing right now, which is good. So he looks to be pretty healthy. A lot of guys were banged up from that last game. Chattanooga has shown, with all their yellow cards and their aggressiveness, that they're going to be a physical team to always match up against. So, taking care of those knocks, all the bruises that are there, I think we're in pretty good shape right now. So hopefully we can carry that forward into Saturday.
We're talking with John Harkes, head coach of the Greenville Triumph. And, look, we know, Coach, those of us that have followed the season, that Chattanooga, a very physical team. Union Omaha is not exactly a team that's going to let you run clear and free towards the goal without some contact, but probably not quite as physical as Chattanooga is. How do you get the boys ready to transition from semifinal to final when you're going to be up against a team that's just got a little bit different speed of football?
Well, I think the emotions and the passions, if you can't get up for a championship final, then there's got to be something not right there. But I think managing, the game and understanding, the skill sets of Omaha, we know they're a talented group. They have a great attacking presence. Conway and Hurst up front are two good attackers. And look, it's going to be a challenge, man, for sure. It's going to be a big game. And you got to get things right on the day. So if we can win our individual battles, be collectively prepared to defend at certain times when we need to, but put away our chances when they come. That's the key for every game. You want to go in and you want to win, but it's just executing on the night. And so we got to make sure we get it right.
We're talking with John Harkes, head coach of your Greenville Triumph, as they head to Omaha, Nebraska to take on Union Omaha in the USL League One championship game. One or two more, Coach, and we'll let you go because I know you got to get ready for this match. Travel. So you guys are taking off today to head to Omaha. You'll have a day or two of training in Omaha before the match on Saturday. Walk me through, from your perspective, what it's like to get these boys one of the longer trips that you can make in USL League One play, followed by a match on Saturday. Kind of what's the method you guys go through to make sure that the travel day doesn't impact the team's stamina too much?
Yeah, I mean, we'll actually travel, Rob, tomorrow. It's going to be, we wanted to get out there on the Thursday night so that Friday we can, get into the stadium and train if we could. But now we're being told that's not going to be possible. But we still want to get out there and get acclimated as quickly as we can and get our feet on the ground and then be in the right frame of mind. So I think getting one light training session out there on Friday would be great for us. Team's ready to go. You don't want to take any chances and risk in terms of travel on a Friday and trying to play a game on a Saturday. So getting out there Thursday is important for us. So that's what we'll do.
Love to hear it. Coach John Harks, head coach of your Greenville Triumph. Usually talk to him at 120. Coach, don't think I didn't take note. Getting bumped for Sirius XM, Coach. I'm not going to tell you my heart's broken a little bit, but but it is what it is. I guess when you're playing for a championship, you deserve the national coverage.
Well, I appreciate it, Rob. And I know you're a quick healer, so thank you for understanding.
Coach John Harks, head coach of the reigning defending undisputed Greenville Triumph, headed out to Union Omaha Saturday at 5 o'clock. Watch party on Saturday. For those of us who cannot make it to Nebraska, will be at 5 o'clock at Habitat right here off of Woodruff. Coach, good luck to you guys. Obviously, Greenville is behind you. And listen, I'm just telling you that when we throw the victory parade, when you guys get back, I expect to see a heck of a party out of you.
I got you, brother. Hey, thanks so much, Rob. Always good to talk to you, and thanks for your support as always. Up the Triumph, man. Up the Greenville. Let's go. Get it done. Talk to you soon.
Up the Triumph. That's Coach John Harks of the Greenville Triumph joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. No big deal, Zoe. Just another day talking to an international soccer phenom and soon to be multiple USL League One championship head coach. That's just what we do here.
Yeah, you're gonna get that belt back, and
oh yeah,
it's gonna be a fun time.
Oh yeah, and again, the watch party for the Triumph is going to be 5 o'clock. You want to be there early because the match kicks at 5, so you're going to want to get there early. But it will be at Habitat right off of Woodruff Road. Your boy will be there, as will the staff of the Triumph that does not make the trip. They will be there. We will have we'll have the game up on the TV, and if you can't make it out, that game is going to be on the CYW channel 62. Locally, that is the CW station here in Greenville. The match itself will be aired live, so you can celebrate wherever you are. Thanks again to, I want to thank Chris Lewis and Doug Irwin and Joe Irwin and everybody, John Harks, everybody over at the Greenville Triumph. They have been with us all year long, and it has been incredible to give you a little behind-the-scenes coverage. Hopefully, we'll do one more of these next week, and hopefully, we'll be putting another ring on it. Coming up next on the Rob Brown Show, we got a couple more stories we need to get into, but we got to break down these college football playoff rankings, so we'll hit that next on the Rob Brown Show at ESPN Upstate.
You see.
Knew that. Here's a reality. You age. That's how time works. Here's another reality. As you age, parts of you will not bounce back like they used to. Ask me what I mean. What do I mean? You play a round of golf. You wake up the next day. When you wake up the next day, all of a sudden you realize that your right knee and your hips are killing you. Or you head on over. It's Thanksgiving Day. The grandkids want to do a little turkey ball football game out in the backyard. So you go out there, you throw a couple of touchdown passes because those kids can't keep up with you. And then you wake up the next day and you go, oh my goodness, my left knee, I put too much torque on it. You need to call QC Kinetics. So what happens is the connective tissue inside of your joints wears down. And when you're young and spry like Lonzo, that joint, it can reheal, it can replenish that connective tissue. But when you start to become an old guy like me, that connective tissue begins to break down. It wears down, it erodes, and it doesn't heal itself, restore itself like it used to. So parts that ain't supposed to touch, rub, cause inflammation, cause joint pain. Well, QC Kinetics is here to tell you that you do not need to get surgery to restore that connective tissue, to heal that connective tissue, to get your body to create that connective tissue and get rid of that joint pain. What you need to do is call QC Kinetics and let them tell you how their non-surgical regenerative therapies can get you feeling better faster naturally without surgery. Go to their website at qckinetics.com, qckinetics.com, or give them a buzz at 864-448-3772. Mention the Rob Brown Show and get that first consultation with QC Kinetics for free. And let them show you how you can heal yourself naturally without surgery. Call 864-448-3772. Mention the Rob Brown Show. Get that first consultation for free with our friends at QC Kinetics.
Cowboys hit the road to take on the Kansas City Chiefs. Hi, this is Jerry Recco. Join Kevin Ray, Danny White, myself for all the action as Dak Prescott and Patrick Mahomes duel it out. Can the Cowboys make a statement on the road, or will the Chiefs continue to hit their stride? It's right here.
Sunday afternoon at 4. The NFL plays here on ESPN Upstate.
Spectrum Business is proud to support small businesses with the best internet and phone services at the best value. But we want to do more. So now, for a limited time, get 1 month of services for free. That's right, 1 month on us. Get 200 megabit per second internet and business phone, and even TV, all free for 1 month, plus free installation. Call 855-757-4544 or visit spectrum.com/business today. Restrictions apply.
The Upstate Holiday Light Show opens Thanksgiving night at Greenville Pickett Speedway. Drive through a nighttime Christmas wonderland as 32 million colors set the sky ablaze, synchronized to the music of your favorite holiday classics. UpstateLights.com.
Introducing Venture X, Capital One's new travel card for people always asking,
Where next?
you earn 10x miles on hotels and rental cars, and 5x miles on flights booked through Capital One Travel, and 2x miles on everything else you buy with Venture X. Plus, receive premium travel benefits like access to over 1,300 airport lounges. The Venture X card from Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details. Did you know there's dust floating around your home?
Really?
Yeah. Dust starts on hard surfaces like shelves and ceiling fans. And when you walk by, dust starts to move, compromising the quality of the air you and your family breathe. So what do I do?
So I feel bad because I went to the restroom 2 breaks ago, and the guy from Charlotte FC called me. And as I answered it, somebody, and I do not know who it was, came into the bathroom. And I was like, as soon as he came in, I was like, "What's up, big dog?" And whoever it was thought I was talking to them. They were like, "Not much, man. How are you?" Well, at the minute he asked me, the guy from Charlotte FC goes, "Rob, how are you?" And I was like, "I'm great, man. Appreciate you asking." And whoever was in the bathroom is like, "Yeah, no worries, man. No worries. Just wanted to see." And I'm like, "Okay." Well, then the guy from Charlotte starts talking. And I'm like listening to him. And whoever it goes in the stall goes, how's that trophy look hanging on the wall of the house? And I'm like, okay, how do I handle this? So I go, mute the phone. And I go, dude, it looks real good sitting up there on top of the TV. I'm not bringing it back. Unmute the phone, put it back to my ear right as the FC guy's asking me a question. And I'm like, okay, now I got to answer this guy's question. But I now have engaged in conversation with whoever's in the stall next to me. So I legit put it back on mute. And I was like, I'll see you around, man. And just kicked the door open and walked out to get back on the phone. And whoever it was still thinks that I had a full-scale conversation with them when 3 of the 4 answers that I gave them were to the person on the phone.
Well, the way you imitated their voice, I know who it was. So
No. It wasn't an imitation. I sincerely do not know who it was.
Well,
who do you think it was?
Todd.
No, it wasn't Todd.
It was not
Nope,
Todd.
I know if it was Todd's voice. It
Okay.
was not Todd.
All right.
So I have a sincere question. Has this ever happened to you? About 3 breaks ago, I went to the restroom. All right. We got 3.5 to 4.5 minutes usually per break, and I went to the restroom. And as I am about to leave the restroom, I'm stepping back from the stall to go wash my hands, and my phone rings, and it's the PR guy from from Charlotte FC. And so I use my offhand to answer the phone, put it to my ear, and the hand I didn't, never mind, Lonzo. So I use my offhand to answer the phone, and I pick it up, and I'm like, "What's up, big dog?" And as I say this to him, somebody, and I was not looking, and I did not spin around because I thought they saw that I had the phone to my ear, walks in, and at the same moment that the guy on the phone, the Charlotte FC guy on the phone, says to me, "Rob, how are you?" This guy goes, "What's up, big dog? How are you?" Or whatever he said. And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm doing real well, man. How are you?" And I'm saying this to the guy on the phone, but whoever it was that walked in the bathroom thought I was asking them that question. So they're like, "Yeah, I'm real good, man. How are you?" And I answer back to both that person and the guy on the phone, "I'm doing real well, man. Appreciate you asking." which is not what I say when I'm looking to somebody in the face, right? But I guess they didn't see I'm on the phone. So like, yeah, no worries. Just wanted to check. And they go into the stall on the far end of the bathroom. So now this person thinks I'm having a conversation with them. The guy on the phone I am actually having a conversation with, and he goes into telling me what the big announcement that we're going to make on tomorrow's show for Charlotte FC is. And so as I'm washing my hands with the phone to my ear, whoever it is in the stall says to me, "How's that trophy look at the house?" And now I have a problem because I don't want to now tell this individual, yes, I know I've answered 2 questions that you've asked me, but I'm actually on the phone with somebody who literally asked me the same 2 questions at the same time, but don't talk to me anymore. However, I can't just say something out of the blue with the guy on the phone who's giving me like a professional courtesy call to prepare me for this big announcement we're going to make tomorrow to help Charlotte FC break the news here in the upstate. And so I mute the phone and I'm like, "Trophy looks real good, boss. Trophy looks good over the TV." And then I unmute the phone and I put it back to my ear. And the guy in the stall, who I still don't know who it was, all right? It's not a voice I recognize. The person in the stall goes, "Yeah, man, seems like the show's picking up steam and you guys are doing great, right?" And my only course of action at this point, because now I've got to talk to the guy on the phone, is to kick the door open and just leave without answering that question. But I can't talk to the guy on the phone until the door closes. I'm clear of it. I don't know how else I could have handled that situation. It was the most awkward 45 seconds of my day so far. How's everybody else's Wednesday going? My name is Rob Brown. Coming up in the 3rd hour, we open talking about the playoff rankings. That's next on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate.
All right, my next guest would be Dave, because Dave was actually there at when we won the trophy.
It could have been.
And hasn't talked to you since, more than likely, because he's rarely in the building, and if he is, he's not here at this time of day. So that's what I'm going to go with.
That's probably a good guess.
And it's a voice that you probably didn't recognize.
Long enough to recognize, so that's a really good guess.
Doing my best Batman here. We used to have the capabilities to go on the phones. It may still do this, and intercom throughout the building. If we still had those capabilities, I could just go on and say, "Who was in the bathroom talking to Rob earlier?" Rob wants to know. Was it you? So I'm going to go with Dave because everybody else you've seen a ton of times since then. And I noticed Dave here yesterday and I hadn't seen him in a while. And I've heard a lot of activity down at that into the hallway when I've been out there. So.
Tony Atlas calling it wrestling makes me so happy.
Tony Vitelli and I will have the call from Atlanta when the Falcons host the 6-4 Patriots. New England's on a 4-game winning streak and coming off a blowout victory over the Browns. Can Mac Jones and the Pats keep their resurgence on track against Matt Ryan and the Falcons? Join us to find out on Thursday Night Football. Tomorrow night at 8, the NFL plays here on ESPN Upstate.
Morning. Check this out. For an official Rob Brown Lockdown. Represent Freedom Brand. Unfiltered sports talk manufactured locally for the Carolina.
All right, the third, the best, the final, the money hour of the Rob Brown Show gets going now. Welcome back, upstate South Carolina and the rest of the world. It's ESPN Upstate, 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg, and all around the world on the Odyssey app. AUDACY. Grab that app, put it on your digital devices, and don't miss a moment of broadcasting when we are live and local from noon to 3 with the Rob Brown Show. Rob and Lonzo, Mark and Diesel bring you offsides from 4 to 7. Let's get into these playoff rankings, shall we? They dropped last night. The University of Georgia, no surprise, is your number one team in the country, according to the college football playoff top 25. Alabama checks in at number 2 at 9-1. Number 3, Oregon, and rounding out the top 4, Ohio State University checks in at number 4 at 9. I don't see what I did there because you're Zo plus Ohio State, and you're Ohio State, so Ohio State.
I'm down for it. I rather enjoy that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Cincinnati, the only undefeated team not named Georgia now inside of the top 21. UTSA is all the way down to number 22 at 10-0. But the only undefeated team with a chance remaining is Cincinnati, and they are now locked out by a spot at 10-0. Michigan is over the one who put the one in 9-1. Michigan State, they are 6-7, respectively. The University of Notre Dame is at number 8. Oklahoma State, the Cowboys, at number 9. Wake Forest falls to number 10 after a loss. Baylor is 11 at 8-2. Same record for number 12, Ole Miss. Oklahoma gets their first loss. They drop all the way down to 13 at 9-1. BYU 14. Wisconsin, Texas A&M, Iowa, Pittsburgh, and San Diego State take you to 19. NC State 20. Arkansas 21. UTSA 22. 23 is Utah. 24 is Houston. And the Bulldogs of Mississippi State at 6-4 are number 25. So what does that leave us? A couple of things at play. We got 2 weeks left in the regular season of college football. Georgia, sitting at number 21, has really, I think, one test left ahead of them at this point.
Georgia's sitting at number 1.
Yeah, sorry, what'd I say?
21.
Yeah, sorry.
It's all right.
Georgia's sitting at number 1. Sorry. What that was I had a sneeze sitting right here, and my brain just completely unraveled. Georgia's sitting at number 1 at 10-0. Has 2 weeks left in the regular season and one challenge remaining. They have got left in the regular season. Lonzo, you want to put any money on Charleston Southern this weekend to upset Georgia?
No, I do not. I don't have disposable income
Correct.
like that.
And then they got Georgia Tech, the team that came into Clemson and gave them a scare back in week 3, week 2?
Rivalry game.
I'll give you all the points.
Yeah, well, I mean, still, it's a rivalry game. Things like that have happened before. It's probably not going to happen this year. So you're saying it's out of the realm of possibility that Georgia Tech could upset Georgia?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes, I'm absolutely saying
All
that.
right.
Georgia Tech right now against Georgia is a plus 17.5 point favorite. Now, in fairness,
I would think
17.5 point favorite over South Carolina, and they spanked them.
I would have thought it would have been more than that.
Same here, honestly. Same here. but it is what it'll probably jump.
Do you think it's where it becomes the rivalry?
Yes.
I mean, what other reason could there be for it to not be more than that?
I don't know.
I think that's giving a lot of respect to Georgia Tech.
Georgia maybe takes it a little easy because they've got Alabama the next weekend, maybe. That's my best bet. You're going to see a lot. Like, Georgia's going to run out its starters to build up a 27-0 lead and then play their backups to get ready for Alabama, to rest them up for Bama. Maybe that's it. I don't know. Here's what I do know. Ain't no way in Hades that Georgia Tech even gives Georgia a game. All right? I don't make many bold prognostications. But I'm telling you right now, if that line is set at 24 or under, hammer Georgia to cover. Hammer them to cover in the rivalry game. So Georgia's got Charleston Southern, Georgia Tech, and then Alabama in the SEC championship game. Unless Auburn was to beat Alabama. I think there's still like a backdoor. They need a lot of help way that Auburn could steal the West, I think. But they'd have to beat Alabama head-to-head. Actually, no, a lot. I think that actually locked out. Whatever. Doesn't matter. Alabama's winning the West. And Georgia's got Alabama. If Alabama beats Georgia, both are in, right? We agree with that? Alabama beats Georgia in the SEC championship game. Georgia takes its first loss from a one-loss top 2 Alabama team. They're both going to the playoff.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Here's the question that got brought up last night on ESPN. Okay? The question that got brought up on ESPN yesterday, Lonzo, was if Georgia beats Bama, let's say 35-34, right? 1-point game. Could a 2-loss Alabama, whose only losses were to a top 5 Texas A&M team and a 1-point conference championship loss to the number 1 team in the country, could Alabama as a 2-loss team be justified going in at number 4?
Absolutely not. And here's, if that were to happen, the outcry and football, I don't know if the committee cares about that or not, but it would be, I would even think the most avid SEC fans would go, no, you can't do that.
I don't think so. I think that shouldn't, but couldn't. I'm not going to say. I can say shouldn't. I wouldn't say couldn't. I think fervent SEC fans are absolutely. I think I heard that, by the way. Are you okay?
I won't know till I walk.
Okay.
Yeah,
I just heard Lonzo's knee click over the air.
It's the bad knee. Sometimes the wires get caught. I know. Yeah, and the wires got caught and it on the pin and it popped a little. So yeah, it's not a good feeling right now.
That looks bad.
Luckily, I'm in a chair that rolls.
All right, so number 2 Alabama, if they lose to Georgia, could they still end up getting in? That's going to be the question. And I think an argument will be made. Here's where it's going to be interesting. Oregon, I would like to say I expect will win out. I'd like to say I expect Oregon to win out. But I also would have liked to have said that I expected Oregon to knock off Stanford, and they did not. Oregon's got number 24 Utah on the road. They got number 24 Utah on the road. That was almost catastrophe. Hang on. I'm hang on. Say something nice to the people, though.
Okay, so Rob has decided to go into the glass and going. So when we go to break, we'll have to try to see if we can fix that. But yeah.
I think I got it.
So there we go.
That was almost catastrophic. All right. So
I mean,
falls and murders me.
Yeah, I don't think it would break. I mean, it's not glass. It's plexiglass.
That was close. That was scary.
At least I think it's plexiglass.
So Oregon has number 24 in the AP poll, Utah, on the road. And then they've got the Civil War. Now, that was at home, all right? They've got Oregon coming to the house in the television broadcast game that you shouldn't watch because it will blow the pixels out on your screen when Oregon State's in their bright orange and Oregon's in their bright neon green and or yellow. Oregon should not lose another game. All right. And I'm going to work under best case scenario here.
So if Oregon wins out and Ohio State wins out, even though Oregon won head to head and Ohio State has beat more ranked opponents, will Ohio State jump Oregon into number 3? Well, actually, yeah. Georgia beats Alabama.
Yeah, the question there is so first off, you got to start with Georgia-Bama, right? If Georgia beats Alabama, Georgia stays number 1. The question is, where does Alabama fall to, right? They've got 2 losses, but both 2 losses are to top 5 teams, and both are away from home.
Bama falls to playing Cincinnati.
They very well might. Very well might. You might get that as a bowl game. The question is going to be, I think, less Oregon and Ohio State, right? Theoretically, if Georgia beats Alabama, theoretically, Alabama falls out of the top 4. All right. It's going to be a hard sell for the playoff committee to move Alabama to 4 ahead of 10-0 Cincinnati, ahead of 9-1, either Michigan or, I guess 11-1, either Michigan or Ohio State. One of those 2 teams is going to eat their second loss as well. I don't know where you put Alabama. I think the answer is you put Alabama outside of the top 4, maybe at 5. But do you put them ahead of undefeated Cincinnati? Whether it's 4-5 or 5-6, do you put Alabama ahead of undefeated Cincinnati as a 2-loss football team?
No, you don't. You put them at 6 or lower. But I think 6 would be the. There's no way they stay in the top 4. I think if Alabama loses to Georgia, 6 is probably the highest they could get.
If Alabama beats Georgia, Bama goes to 1. Where does Georgia go at 12-1 and their only loss to be to number 2 Alabama?
See, I think it depends on how big the loss is. If it's a close loss, they fall to 2.
What's close loss? Touchdown, 10.
Touchdown less.
Touchdown or less.
I think if it's more than that, they probably drop to 4. And it's also going to depend on how does Ohio State, if it is Ohio State, how do they look in their championship game? How does Oregon look in their championship game?
Yeah, there's still football to be played, no doubt. There's still football to be played, no doubt. If Georgia loses to Bama, I think Georgia's going to 4, unless it's just an absolute beatdown, right? Unless it's an absolute beatdown. If Bama beats Georgia by 25, I still think Georgia's in, right? I still think Georgia's in at number 4. So let's say Georgia beats Alabama, and right now I think they probably do. Georgia beats Alabama. We drop Alabama out. You got Oregon, Ohio State, Cincinnati, Michigan State, Notre Dame, and Oklahoma State. I don't think Wake Forest is going to have enough on the resume, even though all the other teams we just mentioned are all 9-1. And even though Wake Forest is right now, I'm not saying they will, but on the inside track to win the ACC, I don't think it's enough to justify moving them up to anywhere close to Michigan State, Ohio State, hell, even Oklahoma State or Notre Dame. So Alabama falls. You drop them down at 11-2. 11-2 when it's all said and done. So now I got Oregon, I got Ohio State, I got Cincinnati, I got Michigan State. We can sit here and talk about, all right, well, does Notre Dame jump Cincinnati, even though Notre Dame lost to Cincinnati?
Well, here's the thing.
Do you say Ohio State would jump Oregon, even though Ohio State lost to Oregon? And in any other years, though, we'd absolutely say no because they beat them head-to-head. But the committee put themselves in a quarter when they moved Michigan ahead of Michigan State a week and a half after Michigan lost to Michigan State, because now you can't tell me that a head-to-head victory is a good reason to keep one team ahead of another, because you literally have done the opposite of that.
I know I'm looking to the future, but if you look at the schedule, if Ohio State wins out, that means Michigan and Michigan State both have lost their second game because they both play Ohio State in the next couple of weeks.
Right. Fair.
So they're not going to be up there anymore if they both lose. And this is kind of this is no longer the argument. I mean, is Michigan State still ahead of Michigan when they're down in the teens somewhere?
So you got Michigan, Michigan State, and Ohio State all right there. And you're going to have some losses between them, right? So we bring this all back around to the Cincinnati get in. Is there a path? Is there a path? Lonzo's shaking his head no. Texture says, every year I root for chaos. That's the only way Cincinnati doesn't get screwed. History tells us they need Michigan and Georgia to win out and Oregon to drop one to somebody, or the fix is in again.
How is Cincinnati getting screwed? Who have they played? Yeah, they beat Notre Dame.
Notre Dame.
They beat Notre Dame. They beat one team. So any team that beat one ranked team, they deserve to be up there, and they deserve to be in the top 4.
That's why it's subjective, right? Because
Okay.
Lonzo's reasons for putting him in might be the same as somebody else's reasons for keeping him out, or vice versa. Let me do this. Let me get Melinda in here. She's been kind enough to hang on the phone line, and I don't want to go to break without her. Melinda, welcome to the show. Great to have you. Thanks for taking a minute.
Hey guys, there's something you hadn't thought about.
Fire away.
If Georgia or Alabama drop to 4, that's going to mean Georgia or Alabama goes to 1, and 1 and 4 play each other first round of the playoff. They're not going to match them up again first round.
You know, I would like to agree, Melinda. I think he's got a good point. The problem is, how are you going to justify whichever one of it is, whether it's Georgia who has the last loss or Alabama who has 2, if they decided to keep them in there, how are you going to justify keeping Georgia or Alabama behind, let's say theoretically, Oregon, who has 9-1 and is number 3, or Ohio State that will have knocked off 2 more ranked teams between here and there? I agree with you, Melinda. I just don't know how they're going to get around moving whichever team loses to 4, or moving them anywhere but 4 ahead of some other teams that have some good ranked victories close to the time that they lost.
Oh, I agree, but I'm just saying they don't ever do anything that uses their brain. That's why they're the playoff committee.
You know, of all
And
the
let's
things.
ask one more question.
Yeah, fire away.
Do you think if Cincinnati was in any other conference, would they be undefeated? That's part of the SEC and all these other conferences. They beat each other up.
Honestly, no, I don't think they would be. And I think that's part of the reason, Melinda, that so many people, Zoe included, don't want them in the top 4, right? Because if this Cincinnati team, I think they'd be undefeated in the ACC. All right. I think they're good enough to have won the ACC,
Well,
but that's
saying a whole
right.
lot.
But that's the ACC. They might.
Dutch Fork could be undefeated in the ACC.
They might be good enough to be undefeated in the Pac-12. And the only reason that lends any credence is because Oregon, out of that same Pac-12, is 9-1 at number 3. So if you think, as I do, that Cincinnati, I'm not saying they would, but have a chance to be undefeated in the Pac-12, and that's good enough to create a number 3 team in Oregon, then you have to say that Cincinnati would therefore be good enough to be in the top 4.
Gotcha.
That's my thought. I want you to know, Melinda, we have already, just during your call, got 2 texts requesting that you become a regular caller. So I'd like to welcome you to the you have now joined Jimmy and a couple of others in the regular rotation, where we expect to hear Melinda's college football breakdown on a weekly basis.
I've heard Melinda before. She's called programs before. She's
Sure.
very good, very knowledgeable.
She is now in the Rob Brown Show rotation of P1 callers.
I want to throw something else out there just because I'm biased. Ohio State will have beat 3 ranked teams before the season's over, because they will have to beat Michigan State, will have to beat Michigan, and they'll have to beat Wisconsin. Wisconsin is currently ranked 15th.
Yeah.
So in that scenario, if Alabama loses, they would have to go to 4. There's no way.
You can't put them ahead of Ohio State.
Right. You
do it.
can't.
Even if you're doing it specifically to avoid a back-to-back Georgia-Alabama game, which, by the way, why do we want to? The only reason to avoid that is because you want that to be the national championship game.
Unless there's a blowout, and I don't believe there's going to be.
I don't either.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with seeing that again.
Yeah. Why would you want to avoid that in the semifinal, right? Why would you want to avoid that in the semifinal? Don't you want that best team to move to the final to take on Oregon, Ohio State, Cincinnati, Michigan, Michigan State, whoever ends up in there? By the way, not a granted that Ohio State wins 3 in a row. Not a granted that Michigan, Michigan State, and Ohio State all don't take a loss before the end of the year, right? Like, they could all end up with an additional loss just round robin. The Big Ten could eliminate itself entirely from this discussion. But if it does, Cincinnati's in. Right? Right?
Whoever wins the Big Ten, unless it's Wisconsin, will be ahead of Cincinnati.
Let's say for funsies, Ohio State loses to Michigan. Michigan loses, or Michigan's already lost to Michigan State, and Michigan State loses to Ohio State. So they all eat one more loss, right? All three end up at 10-2. Then
I don't like your hypothetical, but it is possible.
I know you don't, but let's say it happens. Just because college football is chaos. Let's say it happens. All three of those end up at 10-2 when it's all said and done. Can you take a Big Ten 10-2 team this year and say that they definitely deserve to go ahead of an undefeated Cincinnati?
Yes.
With a win over Notre Dame.
Yes.
Which is a Big Ten win.
Because it's one win, and all those who have defeated multiple ranked teams.
Fair enough. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just asking the question because, again, it's all subjective. Texter says, make Melinda a regular. Another Texter says, what happens if Bama loses the SEC and Oregon loses to Utah and Cincinnati loses a game? If Cincy drops, Bama drops, and Oregon drops, it's going to be Georgia 1, Ohio State 2, assuming they win the Big Ten, or whoever wins the Big Ten. If any of those three teams wins out, they'll go to 2. Gosh, I don't know. Notre Dame 3, Cincinnati 4. Can you jump Notre Dame over Cincinnati? They beat them. So Cincinnati 3, Notre Dame 4. What if Oklahoma State wins out?
State debacle, if you want to look at it that way, as far as rankings go, would let you know that yes, they could jump Notre Dame over.
Exactly right. But then what about Oklahoma? What if Oklahoma State wins out? What if they win? What if the Cowboys end up at 11-1 and win the Big 12? Can I jump them all the way from number 9 over? Can I jump them over Notre Dame, who's 9-1 if they win the Big 12 and Notre Dame doesn't have a conference championship game? Can I jump Oklahoma State into number 4? Can I vault them from 8 over Cincinnati? It's going to be dumb. And this is why we got to go to 12. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate. Willy, willy, wow. It's a different song than the one I was singing.
I know what's happening. Because I think you're doing it on purpose, which is funny, by the way.
Absolutely not.
I
always forget about it until I'm
this wireless mouse is going dead. So it's going to sleep is what I mean. So I got to remember occasionally to just reach over and caress it, I suppose.
Tom Holland says the first time he met William Dafoe on the set of No Way Home, he had no idea who he was because Dafoe was wearing a full cloak for secrecy.
Maybe he really didn't know who he was. You remember that old movie that, you know?
Like he literally brought the Spider-Man memes to life.
Yeah.
When they had the big machines on the snow planet?
Yeah.
Download the Score app today. Lightning fast sports alerts so you never miss a thing. It's why the Score app is one of North America's most popular sports apps. With your ESPN Upstate Sports Center update, I'm Matt Pauley.
German basketball fans make plans to head to Timmons Arena November 19th through 21st for a multi-team event that includes your Maryland along with Radford and the United States Naval Academy. The action begins Friday night with Furman entertaining Radford and Navy.
Maybe I should move the mouse, make it more, I don't know. Other than touching it every once in a while, is there any way to keep a wireless mouse from falling asleep? I don't know.
Go to rocketmortgage.com or call us today at 8338-ROCKET.
Available by approval based on underwriting analysis, your individual financial information, appraisals, and call for cost information and conditions. The greatest of all time, the GOAT. Most of the time, this comes up when speaking about sports. But let's talk about your future.
Okay, let me turn the stream off for what I got to tell you.
Boy.
Indy Light oil filter for just $31.99. And you can get it all back in your way. Just order online with our free same-day store pickup or next-day delivery. Start your job today at AutoZone.com. Restrictions apply.
With Early Paycheck, you can get your direct deposit up to 2 days earlier. That's another reason banking with Capital One is the easiest decision ever. Even easier than deciding to open the biggest birthday gift first.
Which one are you going to open first?
The pony!
Yeah, even easier than that. Plus, with no fees or minimums on checking and savings accounts, is banking with Capital One even if
When the moon hits your eye like it's 4:45, that's November.
All right, Mouse, I'm waking you up. You're awake now.
The new grilled mac and cheese sandwich. Get $1 delivery when you order on the app. Panera, live your yes. Restrictions apply.
Messing around. Real, unfiltered sports talk.
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It's ESPN Upstate. Rob Alonzo and you. 844-477-3776. 844-GSP. ESPN is the number. I had not seen this story until Alonzo sent it to me. Apparently, Matt Stafford's wife threw a pretzel at a 49ers fan and then was escorted from her seat by team security. Rams QB Matt Stafford. This is from Pro Football Talk. Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford made some bad passes on Monday night against the 49ers, but it's his wife who's apologizing for a throw she shouldn't have made. After a fan called her out in an Instagram comment, Kelly Stafford acknowledged that she was in the wrong when she threw a pretzel at a 49ers fan and was escorted from her seat by security. Stafford wrote in an Instagram post, quote, "I'm an idiot. Oh, a woman after my own heart. He was saying a bunch of things that were aggressive towards our crew, but zero excuse. I tried to apologize, but in the end, I knew I was wrong. I will always stand up for my guy and everyone I love, but obviously needed to do it completely different. I'm embarrassed too. Sorry you had to witness me in my weak moment. Neither Levi Stadium security nor the Santa Clara police have commented on the matter."
All right, several questions here. First of all, how was her accuracy? Because her husband's was not good that day. Secondly, hard pretzel or one of those big pretzels? Because
pretzel bites are going to make the best ammunition, right?
But aerodynamics would come into play also. And how cold was it outside?
I would think if you go full pretzel, like the full big twisted soft pretzel, you're coming and you're ninja starring it, right? It's going end over end.
Yeah, but unless it's an older one, it's coming apart as you throw it.
Yeah, it's true. If it's a real soft pretzel, you've got to let go at the right moment, or unless you've done it before, in which case you know how to snap the wrist to where you keep a part of the pretzel for eating purposes, but the remainder of the pretzel then ninja stars. But if you're going like pretzel stick, right? Like you're going hard pretzel stick. I gotta imagine it's a soft pretzel. Nobody goes to a game and orders a hard pretzel, right?
Do they have pretzel bites in play? I think they may.
Yes.
So you dip it in nacho cheese or something.
Yeah, I would. But see, then I'm wasting my nacho cheese at that point.
All right. What stadium were they in?
They were at Levi Stadium in San Francisco. It's an open air stadium, so you got to take wind, humidity, condensation into effect. Coriolis effect has to be considered here. It doesn't. I'm just proving that I know.
All right,
scientific terms.
Yeah, it's a haughty intellectual term. You can actually go to concessions at Levi Stadium. So,
so we're gonna get an insight here.
Yeah, so I'm trying to get some nice restaurants there, including Chur Waffle, which I've never heard of before, but I bet it's excellent. So now we run into the problem as I'm looking at concessions, who sells the pretzels? I mean, because this place has a lot of restaurants in it. This is going to require some extra. Oh, stadium favorites. That's got to be under stadium favorites. A stadium favorite is a vegan dog. Okay, pretzel with cheese.
San Francisco.
Yeah. I gotcha. I can't click on it, but there's a pretzel with cheese, so I have no idea what kind of pretzel. But it doesn't say hot pretzel.
If it's coming with cheese, it's a soft pretzel. You're not serving hard pretzel with cheese. Beer cheese or cheese goes on a soft pretzel.
But
so
that
so we're
can
going
that can only
soft
be
pretzel.
had in section 325. So now we got to find out what section she was actually in. I would think that she's probably in, one of the more expensive
Sure.
sections where they probably have higher class type of pretzel.
So apparently Levi Stadium, like every concession stand is a different, it's almost a restaurant.
Right. That's what I'm saying. There are a ton of restaurants.
Like
on this
section
side.
101 is Silva's Sausage Links. 101 is Touchdown Taps. Section 102 is the Federalist. Section 103 is Churwaffle.
That's what I was saying earlier. That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Is it like a mix of a churro and a waffle?
I would guess so,
Ooh.
but I don't know for a fact.
Ooh, that sounds
Section
tasty.
107 is Smoking Pig Barbecue. Tostitos Nachos at 108. 108 is also the Hula Truck. Puesto Latin is in 110. Tahoe Blue Estrella Vodka is at 111. Like it's you went to Stadium Favorites, right?
I did.
All
yeah.
right. So they're going pretzel with cheese.
Yeah.
Pretzel with cheese. So I'm gonna go and
But it
just
doesn't
play
it
the
doesn't
odds
say
here.
it doesn't say soft pretzel. It just says
It doesn't
pretzel.
matter. You're not serving a hard pretzel with cheese. Cheese only goes with soft pretzels. You're not if you're serving hard pretzels, they're just hard pretzels. You get what's on them.
You never dipped a pretzel bite in some
Not
nacho
a hard
cheese?
pretzel, no.
Why not?
Because no,
it's delicious.
cheese goes with soft pretzels. That's it. No, nothing else. All right. So I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna play Occam's razor here and we go with the least amount of assumptions. Here's what we know. At the majority of football games, soft pretzels are what's served. Now, sizes may vary. Big soft pretzels, small, maybe you get 2 or 3 small, but you're getting soft pretzels and you're getting the kneaded wrapped pretzel. You're not getting pretzel bites at a stadium. Some stadiums do, but the majority of stadiums serving pretzels are serving you full soft pretzels. So I'm going to go she threw a twisted soft pretzel at a fan. And I got to think, and here's the thing, don't ask me to do the research on this because while ordinarily I'm down to do these ridiculous experiments, I'm not wasting a perfectly good soft pretzel. And you would have to throw it while it's still hot, right? Like if you had a cold soft pretzel, you're not going to get the same results. I'm assuming she had a hot soft pretzel rolled up, like twisted up, like a pretzel, like what you see in your head. And she just absolutely chucked it at a 49ers fan.
But there's something else that you need to take into account and that we don't know. How much of the pretzel has she already eaten?
That's a good question. It's a good question because your velocity and impact force are going to be determined. If she's already eaten, if it's 3/4 of the pretzel and she's only throwing like the last little curved part, you're not going to get as much impact. And with less mass, it's going to be harder to control the trajectory of said chunked pretzel.
See, I disagree. Depending on how you eat the pretzel, if there's like the curved part left,
Right, just the top curve.
well, that's better to throw with. It'd make it more direct.
No, I would go if you're throwing a chunk. Like if I would go for the knot. Right, you go for the knot in the middle because it's in order.
Boomerang to differ
Yeah,
with
but
you.
that's not a boomerang. It's a
Okay.
pretzel. I'm going to go with
we
if
don't
you're
know how.
if you're gonna if I'm gonna have to throw a part of the pretzel for accuracy, I'm going with the knot, right? Because at the end of the day, more mass equals slower. It's gonna be slower velo towards the target, but it's gonna mean more control over the trajectory. And at this point, accuracy is more important than speed because if you whiff it by the head and you're gonna pop another fan, you need to make sure that the 49ers fan in question deserved the pretzel is the only one that gets popped by the pretzel.
All right. To that end, we also I haven't seen in the report about whether she was arrested for throwing it or for
No, she was escorted
for
out. No. Why you go soft pretzel, right? You're not doing permanent damage. Like if you throw a Coke, like remember back in the beginning of the NFL season, we had a breakdown of a fight that took place in the stands between Rams fans and Raiders fans, which makes sense. I think it was Rams and Raiders, but either way, you had 2 dudes who were jawing, but neither one of them was doing anything, right? There were 2 dudes that were jawing, neither was doing anything. And then you had this older woman who picked up a full Coke and she dumped it on top of around the dude. She dumped it on top of a fan's head, and then the fight happened. There was not going to be a fight until this woman did this. She dumped the full Coke on the dude's head. And my thought is at that point, That's a justified fight because dude was wearing a white football jersey. If you dump a full stadium XL Coke on that jersey's ruined. That jersey's stained. There's no way you're getting that Coke out in time. You've now ruined my jerseys. It's a good time to go. A soft pretzel, assuming you haven't dipped it in cheese yet, is not going to like stain and ruin your jersey. There's no permanent damage. That's just I need you to know I'm dissatisfied enough to throw a pretzel at you. I think it's a good choice of food ammunition in this situation.
Well, I think the other question is, and this is my last question, did the San Francisco fan in question, did he request that she be removed, or did authorities see it happen and they rushed in to make sure it didn't escalate?
That's a valid question. That's a very valid question. And I'm curious about that, right? That's a very valid question. Here's what I will say. And we got a text that says Stafford's wife gets a pass after surviving what she did. No, I agree. That woman was in Detroit watching her husband play for the Lions for a decade. You're lucky she's throwing pretzels and not slug nines. You know what I mean? She from Detroit, dude. You're lucky all you caught was a pretzel. That poor woman has had to watch her husband play for the Lions for a decade. You're lucky you caught a pretzel. I love that. I love that. Face or heel, Lonzo. If let's assume for the sake of making the situation more ambiguous, let's say that the San Francisco fan was saying some truly degenerate, awful stuff about Matt Stafford. Face or heel for Mrs. Stafford to pop a Niner fan with a soft pretzel?
She's a heel, but I'm okay with it. And I shouldn't be, because it's okay to root for the heel on occasion.
100%. I'm here for it. I'm here for it. All right, 844-GSP, ESPN, 844-477-3776 is the number. Let's take a break. We're back after this. Plenty more to get to on the Rob Brown Show. Rob, Lonzo, and a very slow out. Oh, there's the music. It's ESPN Upstate.
Move the mouse and then click it twice, and then it'll work. Got to make sure I give someone some schooling Friday on some of this so they can handle it next week.
Well, that's right. He's back next week.
Yeah, you'll forget. You'll absolutely forget until you come in here and realize I'm not here. But that's okay. I'm finally, this is the plan, to finally play the game that Cameron got me for Father's Day, the board game Gloomhaven, which we still, but he's on vacation too. No one's going to be at his house. I'm going to go up to his house and we're going to play Monday or Tuesday. That's the plan, to finally play something I've had for 6 months. I've been told is an amazing game. It costs an awful lot of money to just sit there and collect dust. I said dust. Harley in the last break.
Okay.
Before your next repair bill hits. Dial 800-279-2827 on your mobile phone right now and get free roadside assistance, free towing, free car rental, and free oil changes. Dial 800-279-2827 and never pay for car repairs again. Dial 800-279-2827.
When others treat your fries as an afterthought, all you're left with are cold, salty fries. That's why Wendy's new fries are ones you won't forget, guaranteed to be hot and crispy, or we'll replace them. We're talking natural cut, skin-on fries, perfectly seasoned with a hint. For almost 2-to-1. I so hot and crispy, they beg a new question. What would you like with your fries? I am today, only at Wendy's. I'm spending my money. Take care.
Is adding Applewood Smoked Texas Company into our all-white meat chicken.
Hope Diddy plans on going to see Ghostbusters Thursday night.
Yeah, he told me that.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not going to be here, so I'll
Right.
let you guys decide what the correct level.
Well,
I would
there's-
say you can't talk about it.
Well-
you can talk about it being good or bad.
Oh, by the way, you're not here. So, I mean, even though you're in the area, you really don't have, I mean,
You gonna make me not listen to my own damn show?
so why would you listen anyway? You're not here. You're off work. You're off work, man. Turn the radio off.
Today's pros get more done. New tech, new tools, old-fashioned hard work. At Home Depot, our doers get more done.
Did you know the arrow?
I may spoil on purpose just because you're not here.
Maybe the unemployed to employed. Ryan was out of work when he started classes in March.
There are going to be ghosts. Those ghosts are going to be captured. That's my spoiler.
That's the spoiler.
Yes. The original Ghostbusters are all going to make an appearance. We already know that.
Dispensing real, unfiltered sports talk every weekday noon to 3. This is the
Rolling towards the end of the show, it is the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate. Rob Alonzo and you. So we've talked Dabo and his transfer portal. We have talked college football playoff rankings. We have asked the question, can a 2-loss Alabama team, should they lose to the University of Georgia, considering both of their losses are top 5 losses away from home, would you be able to justify putting a 2-loss Alabama team out of the SEC ahead of, say, an undefeated Cincinnati team or a 1-loss team that is outside of that realm? We'll talk more about that tomorrow on the show. Looking forward to that. A couple of other things that I wanted to get to. U.S. men's national team takes a draw on the road down at Jamaica. A 1-1 game that, frankly, probably should have been a 2-1 loss for the Americans. The Jamaicans had a goal disallowed due to a foul previous to the goal that a lot of folks, myself included, kind of thought was a little benefit to the Americans there. Probably should have been a 2-1 loss. And look, I get that old Greg Berhalter has said a number of times that, anytime you get a point on the road in CONCACAF is good. And that's cool, man. But, don't we want to set the bar higher than we're okay with a point against the Jamaica team that effectively is 10 guys who would be retired in any decent country and 1 Premier League player? Don't we expect better than a point from Haiti, from Trinidad and Tobago, a country that has fewer people in it as a whole than just Manhattan? Forget the entire 5 boroughs, just Manhattan. There's more people there than Trinidad and Tobago, but we can't field a team of 11 that we expect to get a full 3 from Trinidad and Tobago. I get what Greg's doing, and a lot of coaches take the strategy of let's try to downplay expectations, right? Let's try to minimize, let's try to lessen expectations so that when we don't reach what they should be, we can go, hey, we told you the whole time, 1 point on the road is good. Well, it's not good enough. It's not good enough. It's a respectable Jamaican team, all right? They've got some guys that are talented. They're old, but they're talented. It's a respectable Jamaican team, but it is not a Jamaican team that we should be incapable of beating. Now, I also understand that after playing in an absolute slugfest against Mexico on Friday, that you want to run the young guys out there. You want to run some of the reserves out there as starters to A, give them some XP, and B, make sure that you don't overwork the team. But man, I got to tell you, throw the regular starters out there that are available, go get a 2-0 lead, and then play the reserves, right? We are going to be in a dogfight. The top 3 spots go to the World Cup. And look, I'll be honest with you. Going to the World Cup is the goal. But I want to go to the World Cup as the best team out of CONCACAF. And right now we are second behind Canada. That's not a shot at Canada, but Canada should not be fielding a team that is beating us in the table in CONCACAF. I kind of feel, and listen, yesterday and Tuesday and Monday, I gave Greg Berhalter a lot of credit because that game against Mexico was well orchestrated. Well orchestrated, well executed. They had a good lineup. Had a lineup with chemistry. He knew right when it was time to go ahead and throw Pulisic in to give him the best opportunity to make a difference, and he did. I gave him a lot of credit, but then I got to turn around 3 days later and take it all right back. Berhalter is doing what he can to lessen the expectations of American soccer fans, and we need to be doing the exact opposite. We need to be raising the expectations. We don't need to be saying we're happy to go to Trinidad and Tobago or Costa Rica or Haiti and walk away with a point. We need to be winning the games that we are better than Haiti, Costa Rica, Panama, Trinidad and Tobago, Jamaica. We need to be winning all of those games and expecting to win Mexico and Canada. But when you have a coach that is consistently lowering expectations, as Greg Berhalter is doing right now, it does damage, not help. It does not help the American football program to be at a point where fans are going, hey, we got a point against the Jamaica team we were definitely outclassing. That doesn't help grow the program. It stagnates it. And he's not the only coach I've said this about. I'll say this about coaches in any sport, any program. I am fine with setting realistic expectations. Realistic expectation, you go to Mexico and leave with a point, that's realistic, and I accept it. You go to Canada and you play in 14-degree blizzards and you leave with a point, that's realistic. I expect it. But don't try to tell me that I shouldn't expect better than to go to Jamaica and get 3 points, or Haiti or Costa Rica or Panama and get 3 points. We should not only expect better, we should demand better. There is no reason we could not have walked out of Kingston, Jamaica with 3 points last night. None. There were less than 5,000 people. You can't even hit me with, well, it's a tough, hostile pace to play. The Jamaicans get into it down there. There were less than 5,000 fans down there. Less than 5,000. There are USL League One teams, including our own, that draw more than 5,000 fans. Less than 5,000 fans. That's not a hostile environment. That's a rec league game. There is no reason. But when you tell the team, hey, we should be happy to go get 1 point in away road qualifiers in the World Cup qualifying circuit, then what the hell do you think they're going to play for? They're going to play for 1 point. I'd be looking in the face of Pulisic and McKinney and Reyna and every other dude wearing the red, white, and blue and saying, I expect 3 points. Because if you tell them we expect 1 and we're happy with 1, they're going to go get 1. We, as fans, should not be expecting 1-pointers at Jamaica. We have to win those games to get to a point where we can start hoping to win against Spain and France and Italy and England. It's the only way it's going to happen. Quick break. I'm back after this. Twitter trending topics next on the Rob Brown Show. It's ESPN Upstate. Harley Davidson of Greenville wants to make you part of the Harley Davidson family. And I've told you guys this before, right? You go in, you're not just buying a motorcycle, you're getting in the family. And I mean that. But here's what I mean by saying it benefits you to do that, right? And I'm talking from top to bottom. Not only are you getting the bike of your dream tricked out the way you want it tricked out, so that the bike you see in your head when you say, I want to ride a Harley Davidson, that's the bike you're going to get. But once you do, the routine maintenance, they have trained certified technicians right there at Harley Davidson of Greenville who know that bike better than you know you, that are going to do all the work to make sure it is in great working order to give you some of the best riding experiences in the country right here in the upstate. But it's not just that. Not only are they going to help you outfit you in the gear that you need to ride safely and comfortably, but they organize rides around the calendar. They are constantly putting rides together for the Harley Davidson family. You can go ride with other people, meet other riders. They have specific rides. For instance, if you're a young lady who likes to ride, they have every couple of months a women's only ride. You can ride with other lady riders from around the upstate, and they organize that. They do charity drives all year long that you can be a part of. Everything you can think of that makes Harley-Davidson the brand that it is, they do it in spades right there at Harley-Davidson of Greenville. Go see what I mean. Go to 30 Chrome Drive in Greenville, 30 Chrome Drive in Greenville, or check them out online at upstateharley.com. Upstateharley.com. It's Harley-Davidson of Greenville.
How do your clients know that? Because Fisher Investment is a fiduciary, the highest standard for a financial advisor. We're there for our clients, always put their interest. No, we look at it as the right thing to do. Retirement savings, we know how important that responsibility is. So we take the time to really get to know them. Know them how? We make sure we understand their unique goals, finances, health, family, and lifestyle. We can tailor their portfolio to their specific needs. Our goal is to help them achieve a comfortable retirement. Sounds like a big responsibility. No, we don't sell commission-based products. We have one single transparent fee that's option. Visit FisherInvestments.com and out why investors like you are switching to us. Fisher Investments. Clearly different from money management. Investing in security is also risk of loss.
You tried learning a new language, but it never seems to stick. That's because there's more to language than learning vocabulary. It's different. Apple's Meant for Ways to Learn helps you explore every aspect of a new language, anytime, right from your phone or computer. Practice real-life conversations in the Babbel app.
¿Cómo te llamas? ¿Cómo te llamas?
Get personalized help from an instructor in Babbel's live online classes.
Classes are limited to 6 people. We keep them small so everyone can get the help they need.
Review words and phrases with fun games, or dive into the culture with short videos. Everything from the interactive lessons and live online classes to the podcast and videos will teach you things you'll actually use, so you're ready for real-life conversations. With Babbel, you can speak a new language. Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free. Just go to Babbel.com to start learning a new language today. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
From examining how vital bats are in the creation of Mexican tequila to exploring a lost continent right under our feet, each episode of Nat Geo's Overheard podcast takes a dive into the conversation.
How vital bats are to Mexican tequila.
Yeah.
I was going to say, that sounds like something you'd be watching. Although I probably would watch that
Here's
too.
what I love about it. So I know that bats and bat guano is vastly important to fertilizing the agave fields that they use to make the tequila. But the way she said it makes it sound like they make the tequila out of the bats. Like they catch the bats and grind them up, and now we have tequila.
Same-day store pickup or next day delivery. Start today. AutoZone.
It's time for Twitter Trending Topics. Where I tell Rob what is trending, and he will tell everybody what he knows about it. The first thing is Young Dolph.
Yeah, I don't know anything about it. I know Young Dolph is a musician or a rapper, I guess. And from what I understand, I guess he has passed away. I don't have any of the details. I don't know the story. And unfortunately, I don't know any of his music.
It's been breaking. Apparently, he was inside of a store in Memphis and came out. It looks like a drive-by.
Well, that's unfortunate. Maybe we should all stop doing things like that.
It's also, rap culture, and this is a thing that happens. Unfortunately, well, drive-bys happen, but more than likely, when it comes out, it probably will find out there's some sort of beef type thing.
I do want to, since we're talking music, and I don't want to end Twitter on this, but we might. I saw James Taylor and Jackson Brown last night at the Well, and I got to tell you, dude, so good. How does James Taylor, like his voice has held up? That dude is how old is James Taylor? He's got to be in his mid to late 60s now.
I would say early 70s.
James Taylor, born in 1948, is 73 years old. The dude's voice, nice job. The dude's voice has never changed. He is incredible. Jackson Brown still got it too. Like Jackson Brown was good, but he's kind of hit that age where he's like, I'm going to just stand here in front of the mic and play guitar, right? James Taylor goes off. Dude was great.
Well, see, I never pictured James Taylor as a high energy anyways, kind of laid back all his song library sounds that way. So I'm not surprised about James Taylor. Jackson Browne, to a certain degree, is fairly laid back too. So,
Oh, he is super. Absolutely.
I mean, it's not like, Led Zeppelin or AC/DC or something.
I did love at one point. I did love at one point last night. There was a dude in the row behind us, and James Taylor comes out and he says, I want to dedicate this song to all the people that are in recovery, because he had substance abuse issues. He said, I want to dedicate this song to you. And then, a bunch of people clap. And he goes, don't worry, those of y'all that still drink, I got a bunch of songs coming your way after this, right? And I kind of laughed. And the dude behind me goes, rock and roll! Like, he was so excited that James Taylor was going to have a song about beer. He lost it. I absolutely loved it. That's it for us. Mark Ryan and Diesel are up next with Offside Joe. Have a great rest of your day. We'll be back tomorrow to try harder on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. Later, brother.
WYRD Greenville, WORD Spartanburg, WFBC FM HD3.
An Odyssey station.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. An encouraging update on Cowboys left tackle Tyron Smith from Coach Mike McCarthy today. He's practicing on a limited basis, could return from a bone spur in his ankle for Sunday's clash against the Chiefs. Browns quarterback Baker Mayfield plans to start against the Lions Sunday. Mayfield dealing with an injured left shoulder right